We have an easy task today. Consent is easy today.
Yeah.
Do we need speakers or how that this thing? Oh, wow.
Yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready.
We're ready. We're ready to get started with the consent calendar. And we have the item C1 is the 660 Ladera Lane. What is it called? The Tobes addition. And we've seen it a couple of times. Is the applicant online?
Yes, this is Paul Ashley. I'm the architect. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Great. I don't know, I organized this presentation with my PDFs. There's one called Minutes Responses. It's at the top of the list there. And to keep it simple, because you've seen my architectural work a few times now, I thought we'd just look at those point by point.
Correct. Yes, we don't need to go through. I look at it online already.
Yes, and I just have a few architectural items on that list, and then I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to the landscape architect. Opening.
Okay.
Guillermo, Paul, just let me know where you want me to scroll.
I don't see them. Is the minutes opened?
Okay, there you go. They're open. Can you see them on your screen?
I can't, but I have them open on my screen. But for some reason I don't see. I don't see it on your screen, but
It might be.
But you see them, okay?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen, and we're seeing it on here, so that should be. It might just be a matter of what view you're in Zoom.
Okay.
But go ahead. We have a lot.
Okay. So there's just a few items on this list under the S-bar comments. The WELO is going to be in the landscape architects list. There were two comments about our light fixtures, our exterior sconces. And on sheet A3.2, I have changed the specification on that fixture. We're staying with the same model of light fixture, but we've increased the size to a larger model. The size we showed you back in the fall was 13¼ inches. The size I show now is 21¼ inches. And that's all on the detail sheet A3.2, which I can't see, but I don't know if you have it open or not. Sorry.
You're showing your computer screen. It's not showing the.
David, you might have to reshare for this.
Okay, let's see. 1 sec. Sure.
Unmute for sure.
Can you see them now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah, great. There we are. Excellent. Now I'm seeing everything.
Light. Let's go with the WELO.
Yeah, so down at the bottom, that's our exterior sconce specification. As I said, it was 13¼ inches high. Now you can see that says 21¼ inch high. Also, if you read the additional info, it clarifies that this is a dark sky compliant fixture. Just right where your arrow is, right there. That's your, you'll find the dark sky compliant in that text. And then below it is the size right there. So that light has been increased in size. Also, I show on this sheet an in-wall light, which is around our pool, in the pool patio area. That's the specification on the left. That's our other exterior light fixture that we're adding. We're not doing the shiny brass. We are specifying the dark bronze. Okay. There was only one other comment for the architectural. which was about the neighbor's concern. And I answered that comment on sheet A 1.1P, which is in the 0.01 site plan, floor plans, and roof plans. I don't know if you need to look at that sheet. It's up to you.
That's fine. That's fine. I saw it before. So that,
Okay, no worries. Then
No
I
comment.
have nothing else to
I
add.
took the fifth now and everything.
We can turn this over to the landscape architect because he's going to be showing a
Bye,
lot of
honey.
the work. Okay.
Good morning. So to answer a question about Willow, we can go to the overall irrigation plan on L 1.0.
Just give me just. Go ahead.
There you go.
So if you scroll a little bit up, we can see this full plan. The only areas that we actually are improving the landscape or designing the landscape is the areas inside the dashed blue line around the house, the pool, and the outer court, and at the entry. But Montecito Water asked us to show all the irrigation on site, so we went and showed the entire irrigation and did a willow for the entire side.
Hi, who opened that?
So if you scroll down, you can see the willow calculations.
Concha did?
Hey, there's somebody in the
somebody,
background. Mute.
somebody,
So on the Boyer calculations, that's the entire calculations for the site, not for the improvements that we're doing now. I'm including the improvements that we're doing now. They review, Montecito Water review this information, and they were okay with it.
is that okay? Katie, is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good then. Okay. So I think you cover all the points, and we'll approve it when we approve the consent calendar. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item C2, a brigada addition, and on 4495 via a brigada in the Hope Ranch area. And we really didn't have any comments from SBAR, so we just want to see that the drawings are complete. Is there an applicant for this project?
Yes, Ray Twyford with Blackbird Architects is here, and I think James Gonzalez should be joining.
Okay.
He's saying that his link isn't working to get in, but we can proceed if that's.
You can go really quick. I saw them online. I think the architectural drawings are very complete, but you can show them really quick. Maybe you can go.
I don't think they're altering any landscape, so I think it's.
Okay. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, we've seen, right,
Yeah, nothing's changed from what we showed last time. It's an existing floor plan, existing roof. Excuse me.
Yeah. I think if you can show the details, go to the details, keep going. Yeah, elevations, sections. Yeah, they have the details there. They're keep going. I think there are more, right? Yeah, we got the stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty basic. Okay.
And just to confirm, you're not altering any landscape, correct?
Correct.
Part of the structure. Okay.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
I think we're ready to approve it, right, Kaylee?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Thank you. We'll approve it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay, Mr. Chair, that concludes the review of the consent calendar.
Thank you, sir. We got a few minutes.
Good.
before now. The SBAR meeting of April 1st, 2022, with item number 1, public comment. Is there anyone from the public here or online that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda for today? If so, please raise your hand. Yeah, see one attendee, no hands raised. Okay, moving on. Item number 2, agenda status report.
We don't have any, we have not received any requests to update today's agenda, so it stands as is on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Then moving to the minutes from the last meeting of March 18th, 2022. You direct your attention to the screen ahead of you.
Make this look so easy.
It's
Yeah,
a bit large, so we can.
yeah. Bottom right, there's a little, there you go.
There we go.
Doing great, David. Doing great.
I appreciate your support. So we know when you want me to stop.
Okay, yeah, probably just
So
slowly. It looks like consent is probably fine. I don't see any comments, so right there.
no comments there, right?
Yeah, that one was dropped, right?
Okay, that one.
This is a Chick-fil-A one.
Okay. Item B says project should be more pedestrian friendly, including outdoor seating areas. So it has outdoor seating areas. It should probably just say included more substantial outdoor seating areas, or
Yeah.
more inviting, including expanded.
Yeah, any of those.
So expanded outdoor seating areas and better connection to the street. Actually, it should say better connection to sidewalks, really. So we're talking about pedestrian access.
You're up.
Didn't we also, as far as the landscaping goes, we mentioned maybe more canopy-like trees and more variety?
Yeah, and expanding the planting at the edge of the patio.
Yes, just pick up a little bit.
I think it would be good to ask them to expand the planting between the patio and the parking lot. It was like just a narrow little strip of planting. Then I also recommended bringing more detail on what the canopies were going to be.
Yeah, they were proposing, I think, olive trees, and they were spaced too far apart, and
Yeah,
it was not enough.
we covered the more naturalistic, more variety, especially with trees, species, and more canopy trees, and then study opportunities for more landscape plantings in parking lot, especially between outdoor dining area and parking.
I think on E, we can say instead of or, we can say and. Look to reduce and break up the paving material.
Mm-hmm.
So for the landscaping, I have landscaping is insufficient, needs to be more appropriate for the area, naturalistic, and add more variety, especially with trees. Study opportunities for more landscape plantings in parking lot and between the patio and parking lot. And look to incorporate more canopy trees.
Larger, larger, right? Because we
Yeah.
have canopy trees, but they're too small. I mean, larger
Yeah.
species.
It sounds fine. I think the way you have it. Right, that cover it?
More/larger.
How about the style of the architecture?
And then you got the one that Alex mentioned for E, the second sentence. Okay.
I think we said something about the architecture. I don't see it there. The first one says a little, but too corporate in appearance and.
Yeah, I don't know if that quite covers it.
Yeah, perhaps it does not reflect what it takes about the corporate in appearance and lacking small scale details. I mean, it seems like it was lacking character, right? I'm not sure if it's.
Yeah.
Okay, how about and lacking character? It does not reflect the architectural character of the area. The too corporate in appearance and lacking, I don't know, character again. Or it was lacking, I don't know, like softness or.
Yeah, it was too harsh. Corporate appearance, lacking like a pedestrian scale.
Lacking pedestrian scale elements. Yeah.
Lacking elements of pedestrian scale. And then, didn't you mention something about the canopies?
The canopies themselves.
Yeah, we
right?
just we need some detail on what it was.
Yeah, need more detail on proposed canopy structures.
Also, I think there was a comment about trying to add more finger planters in the park.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I think I have that's in there.
It says study opportunities for more landscape plantings in the parking lot, including finger planters.
Yeah, maybe say finger planters, so that's specific.
I think you have to say the word finger planters because it's
Otherwise,
different
they just
from,
put them with
you know, the other
Yeah.
planters.
parkway.
Okay. Okay. So which one is this?
Is it Don Nolte and on Marina Drive?
Oh.
Seems fine.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Good on
that's
that.
good. Okay.
Actually, can you go back to, was it 5? So we're saying review whether any landscaping is desired. If so, return with landscape plan.
I think he had a landscape plan, but it was just predominantly filled with one plant, or one choice of a plant. I just suggest there might be an opportunity.
Yeah, that just leaves them open to
Right.
just say, nah, don't want to. But I think it was necessary in that on that project, it seems. So return with further developed landscape plan, but that's not
And
what we
this is the
said.
guy that was an owner, right? He didn't
Yeah.
live on the property and he had was on a bill trying to
Right.
legalize it and yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was a problem with what he was proposing. I was just suggesting.
Oh, that was the, okay, I got you. That
It
was
had
just
a
the
bunch of-
one,
yeah.
Bergia everywhere.
Yeah, the planters.
I think you could just say, consider further study on landscape plan.
That's what the guy wants.
Yeah, so it's really up to him, but I think, I say, consider further development on landscape plan to include,
Potentially more variety. Of
yeah, more
plants.
variety of plant species.
it's just a wishy-washy. How about consider adding more variety of plant species to the landscape plan? Okay, how about that? A little bit more direct. Otherwise, you're gonna say, yeah, I thought about it and.
Right, exactly. Okay. All right, we can go to 7. I think.
Consider adding more variety of plant species to landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
And they got the second sentence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the first sentence.
no, the first one's important.
First one would just be not. Yeah, we don't need that return with.
Well, that one is pretty perfect right there.
Yeah.
I think G can be integrated into C, like add skirt around base of deck return with deck details and details of pergola to meet high fire hazard requirements. All together in one sentence, I think. Okay, next. Yeah.
Okay. 9 was not heard, right?
Yeah.
So 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that one had a mouthful. Which one is this? Can you go up a little bit? This is the middle edition in.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Shepherd Mason. Oh yeah, right. Okay. On C, you say foundation beds, not bottom beds. Is the word foundation. Foundation, yeah. Or crawl space or whatever they're called. Yeah. I think it was a study tower proportions, and I think it also was the windows in the tower, tower proportions and fenestration. There was a window on the side that was very low. There was a round window on the top. So study tower proportions and fenestration. Oh wait, study wind. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It does say. Okay, B, study tower proportions, windows and door openings. So all one sentence. Okay.
All right, I think that was it, right? Last one. Okay. So someone want to make a motion?
Move to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second it.
And I'll abstain.
All right, and I would abstain from item number 6. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Josh had to step out, so it's just 4 of us right now. Is that cool?
You know, I prefer that we wait until Josh comes back. I think it's just a technicality.
Okay.
Let's
But
just
you
wait.
can approve
Oh, because there's an abstention.
no, actually, you can approve it with right next quorum. The quorum is present.
I think you're technically right. Do we know, when is Josh coming back?
I don't know. He just said he had to step out for a minute.
Okay.
Probably on the phone.
Okay.
So, okay, or should we table it?
Am I allowed to approve it? That was
I think so. I mean, she
here?
wasn't
I'm
here,
familiar
but
with a
she's
lot of
not.
projects, so
Yeah.
She abstains, she makes quorum, the rest of the people vote. I believe that is Robert's rules of order.
So you were abstaining from item number 6.
Yeah.
Others,
There's John.
there's John.
Just say aye when you come in, John. Howdy.
John,
Hi,
nice seeing you.
guess what?
What?
I made it.
Very good.
All
So,
the time in the world when I'm 15 minutes late.
so John, we were
Oh, we get to
just,
sit up here now.
yep. It's nice, huh?
Does that mean we get a raise?
I will start you.
That is your raise.
Yeah, we get raised by 18 inches.
If you're cold by the door, you
No,
can
fine.
switch, you can switch seats. Okay. All right.
So John, we were just voting on the minutes from last time. So if you want to just say aye, that's cool.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And look, we're running right on time.
All right, so item 4 is the SBAR members' informational briefings. Anyone have to step down? I
I
think
have
there's,
to recuse myself from the last one.
lucky you. I think I have to recuse myself from one of the items. You guys have to step down from item number 6.
Number 6, Galileo, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Robert and I.
Oh, yeah, I had to step down from item number 7. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Informational briefings? No? Jokes? No? Okay, consent agenda, item 6.
Okay, we reviewed 2 items in the consent agenda, the Topes addition on 660 Ladera Lane. And it was, there was a minor issues to be finalized and they were fine. And also C2 and Abrigada Lane in Via Brigada. There was an addition and it had no comments and the details were fine. So we approved that. We would like to approve that and make a motion to approve both items in the consent calendar.
Second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I forgot to, I sort of skipped over the staff update, item 5. So Alex, do you have anything? Okay.
Did you want to? You can tell.
I will momentarily.
Okay. So when Alex goes back upstairs, you might just want to pause my minutes to let him get up there.
Okay. He doesn't want to be here with us?
Well, I'm not
Not exactly.
Oh.
Sometime
the network, so
we don't have time to go into it.
I could use some.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we can try again at, lunchtime or something, because it took me a few times to get in also, but I went in as guest. Anyway. So should we go ahead and start then, Alex, on number 1? Okay, so we'll move on to the standard agenda, beginning with item number 1, the Fisher additions. This is the request of Greg Evard, agent for Lawrence and Carol Fisher, for a preliminary and final approval of an addition and remodel to an existing single-family residence of approximately 388 square feet for the first floor addition, 778 square feet, second floor addition, and 280 square foot covered porch. There's currently a 2,500 square foot single-family dwelling and a 500 square foot detached garage. It's a 1-acre parcel located at 1165 La Vista Road in Santa Barbara. Last heard January 7th of this year. Do we have the applicant present? If so, please state your name or names for the record.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Brian Banks here, agent for the owners. We also have the owners, the Fishers in attendance, Greg Evard, our architect, and a new addition to the team since you last saw the project, Karen McConaughey from Steve Hansen Landscaping.
Great, welcome aboard. We have 6 comments from last time. I'll just read through those and then hand it off to you, and you can tell David which page you want to be on for your presentation.
Thank you.
Comments from last time. Number 1, well-executed project. Provide all 4 elevations. Number 3, study 2-story element in northwest corner. Consider wrapping trellis around to the northwest elevation or adding cover over door openings to break up 2-story element. Number 4, study opportunities for adding trees into landscape plan. 5, provide color and material palette. 6, clarify what is proposed versus existing on landscape plan. So,
Yes, we are ready. We've got those all addressed, and I think we have the page numbers to direct you to. So with that, we'll turn it over to Greg, and he can address architecture.
Great. Thank you, Brian. My name is Greg Evard. I'm the architect on the project, and I'll just make it brief and address those comments from the last meeting. So the fourth elevation has been added. It's the southeast elevation. It can be found on page 10 of the PDF, sheet A3.2. There we are. It's found there on the lower portion of the page. So you can see the second story mass has been added. We have an opening with a railing bringing our basically our sill height of that opening up to 42 inches. Tucks into the roof form and is mitigated by the trellis to the left. So that's the fourth elevation that was missing. The next point was studying and wrapping a trellis around the northwest elevation. We spent a lot of time with that. You can see the solutions that we came up with there on sheet 9 and 10 here. If you go back up, there we go. Right, there we are. So the top elevation there, that's the northwest elevation. We studied bringing the trellis on the right that's out to the southwest around that elevation like we had kind of touched on in the first meeting, but we ultimately settled on adding a solid porch roof form there. It did a much better job of kind of stepping down that two-story element that was the concern. It adds some shelter to the glass door, and it really was a nice addition. We were really happy with it. Thank you for suggesting that we study that a little bit more. The columns tie into the trellis columns. They're repeating the same form. So some of the elements do wrap around, and it works very well to step that down. You can also see it on the lower left here, and it helps mitigate that side loading issue that there was some concern about. You see the eyebrow protruding on the left side of the lower elevation there on the southwest. So we were very happy with that. Another portion that we've added was the exterior door and window fenestration details. They've been added on the PDF sheets 15, 16, and 17. If we go to sheet 15, a 7.0, there we go, right there. So this is some wall sections that have been lined up just so you can see the alignment of the different elements that are being placed in these facades. We're matching the existing detailing with the clad wood windows in the integrally colored stucco plaster. You can see that plaster wraps up on the soffits, which is repeating the existing details. It's really a simple palette. We're really pleased with how the elements all tie together. Probably the biggest element here is in the center on that detail 2, which is a detailed section through the trellis element and how it comes back, attaches to the facade. It's repeating the material palette of the walls. It's a slender stucco column supporting a steel fireproof trellis structure, and it wraps around the building. Details are then seen in expanded view if you go to the next sheet for our window and door details. And we go one more sheet. You can see the trellis detail there on the right. Pretty clean, simple detailing. So the exterior lighting that's attached to the building is shown on EL 1.0. It's the PDF page 18. We can maybe move to that. There's no change to this sheet from the last presentation. I thought I would just mention it because this is delineating the lighting that's attached to the building. We have proposed some path lighting that Karen will explain in her landscape presentation. That path lighting is shown in the landscape plans. And then the last piece I have is the exterior materials board, which is a separate PDF, if you can find that and bring it up.
I have. Okay, hold on one sec.
There it is. So we have a photograph of the existing house in the center, and we're showing how we're matching the existing materials. You can see it's a nice earth tone, integrally colored plaster that's existing that we're going to match. It has a LRV of 50. Then we have the gray blue trim that's existing that we're going to match on the fenestration running around, and a black, the black composition roofing. A couple other items that I added to it is we do have the flagstone paving. It's also existing out there, but you can see how it ties into the palette. And there's a little bit of fire treated Western red cedar that will be the wear layer on the trellis on the south side. And then the trellis steel beams that are up above the door head height will be painted a warm gray. That's it for my portion of this presentation. And Karen can explain the landscape.
We could switch back to the landscape plan.
David, you shouldn't have to stop sharing. You can
Okay.
just flip back to the different file.
Okay, so here on the landscape plan, we're showing both what is existing and proposed. The existing hardscape outlines are shown in a faint gray outline, and primarily we are replacing what's existing and just adjusting to the new footprint of the house and new door locations. They do have flagstone on site. There's a couple places where the existing flagstone is shown with the white background, and that existing flagstone is going to remain. Other areas, the existing flagstone will be replaced, such as going from the garage to the front door. Right now, there's flagstone that's set on mortar with DG joints, and we're going to replace that to be on a slab with grouted joints for a smoother walking surface. And the only other new patio is at the barbecue area. That area is new. It's currently DG and planting. And then the patios on the south side are existing. They're just shifting. We're actually reducing the area of lawn around the west corner of the house, and the fire pit is moving from one patio to the other. And then there are a couple sections of the flagstone that have planted joints, one section adjacent to the lawn and one section adjacent to the barbecue. And then the other areas will have DG joints in the flagstone. And the planting, actually, a lot of it will just replace what's existing, or we're going to be salvaging some plants that are existing. We're going to be salvaging some agave attenuatas and some aloes and some birds of paradise, and then replacing other plants that we couldn't save, such as some salvias and lavenders, leucadendron, and there's some lantanas in the plan as well. So overall, it's a fairly drought tolerant palette, wildlife friendly. And we are showing the tree canopies on this plan. So you can see how much tree cover is on the site already. North of the house, there's an existing orchard that's all going to remain, not be disturbed. And there is a large pepper tree that hangs over the flagstone patio west of the house. And there's a good amount of screening on around the perimeter of the site as well. Both fence lines are covered with vines. On the west side of the property, there's an existing passion fruit vine that covers that fence line. And that side of the property actually drops down to the roadway, and then it drops into a canyon across the street. On the east side, there's an existing trumpet vine on that fence line. And then south of the property, there's an olive tree, some additional fruit trees, and then on the neighbor's property, there's a thick barrier of existing vegetation that's 10, 20 feet tall, as it is right now. And also south of the house, there's the existing septic system, so we couldn't put any trees there, and that's where the views are as well. So with the existing tree cover that is there, we didn't feel like additional trees were needed. And on this plan as well, we're showing the path lights. There's 12 path lights shown on the north side. And I have actually the cut sheets, if we could go to the next page. I have the cut sheets of the light fixture.
Was that part of the original?
Probably in the original set, yeah. Actually, updated plans. I don't know. There was a folder for updated.
No, sorry, it's on the next sheet. So if you scroll down,
Yeah.
David, to the next landscape plan, it will have the lighting details on that same plan set. It's not a separate PDF.
There's only one sheet on that. Yeah, you have to go back to the original.
Okay. Just one sec, Brian.
Sorry. I have to say it's working good. I like the setup. It's working.
Yeah.
The hybrid setup.
Yeah, it's great.
Wish you guys were here, but we'll, take it.
Next time. There we go. So we have the lighting cut sheet here, and the fixture will be powder coated a Sedona brown to tie in with the house. We have our plant legend there that, again, a lot of it matches what is existing. And then if we could go down, we also have an irrigation plan. That's the last page here, yes. And so the whole site is on drip with the exception of the lawn, which is existing, just shrinking. And so the spray there will be adjusted to the new Flagstone layout. But the rest of it will be drip irrigation. And we're actually we'll improve the system by combining 2 controllers into one as part of this project. But other than that, everything will remain the same with the rest of the landscape.
Okay.
That's all we have to say about the landscape.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that we're ready for any questions.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring it back to the board for questions. Anyone?
I just have one question for Karen. Do you have your actual WELO calculations on there?
Actually, the square footage is below 2,500 square feet. So they are below the threshold where that would be required.
Okay.
So I think you just need to include Appendix D. Yeah. So if it's under, you fill out the Appendix D. I don't think we have to have it for final here, but you'll need it for the building department.
Okay.
Okay, so no other questions? Okay, is there anyone from the audience or from the public online that would like to speak on this item? Raise your hand. Okay, back to the board for comments. Anyone?
Project is ready to go, Mr. Chair.
Great.
I agree.
So it's here for prelim and final, if someone wants to make a motion.
I make a motion for preliminary and final as presented.
One second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Hey,
Have a good day.
All right, moving on, item number 2. Sigler Deck. Request of Rob Madej and Brooks Mickelson, Bosque Landscape Architect for Eric Sigler for conceptual review of a new wood frame deck, new landscaping and irrigation, gas fire pit and barbecue, and replacement of existing window with new glass door. See, there's an existing 2,700 square foot single family dwelling, no grading proposed. It's a 1.2 acre parcel located at 750 Monty Drive in Goleta area. So do we have the applicant here? If so, state your name for the record.
Yeah, Rob Madej with Bosque Landscape Architecture. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think a great place to start on this set of drawings is actually the second sheet. Thank you. Perfect. So this has been a slow-moving project for us. We've gone through the entire Hope Ranch process, including architectural design review and also a variance for this project. And the reason this is before you is because a modification will be required for this project. And that has to do with the, if you zoom in on the site context plan and image key in the top right, I think this will give you a good sense of the actual site and some of the encumbrances that we're having to deal with. But essentially, we're on a steep slope, over 30% slope on average, just on Monte Drive and Hope Branch. We, on the left side of the property on this plan, which will be the west side of the property, left side of the plan, is an environmentally sensitive habitat area. You can see the house is split down the middle essentially by the front yard setback, which is pretty significant in Hope Branch, 75 foot from the center line of the road. So already we're dealing with some challenges in terms of setback. Because this sloped lot is around 30%, we have very little usable flat space. Currently, there's the only flat area is the driveway and a small little section of kind of circulation around the back of the house, and then a very modest sized patio off of the master bedroom. And the master bedroom is in the far west end of the house. So our proposal is fairly modest. It's to provide some flat outdoor usable living space for the project. And it makes sense to do this on the north side of the house where they have nice views of the San Ynez mountain range beyond, and kind of tucked in some existing oak trees there. So that's the large, the high level view of this project. And I think if we were to pop up actually back to the first sheet, this rendering will give you a nice bird's eye view of really what the proposal entails. There we are. So there are no proposed changes to the house, except that you'll see a 3-panel door unit that's currently a window right now. And that is proposed to transition into a door unit so they can access this new deck that's proposed with the railings. On the left-hand side, you'll see a basic walkway that exists now. That there's a timber wall holding up a DG pathway as it circulates around the house, kind of hugs the perimeter. What we're proposing is that deck, and that deck will connect with the master bedroom on the east face. So if you kind of pan over to the right, you'll see a narrow raised walkway which already exists. But it's lower at grade. So we're actually just bringing that deck up to, let's call it finished floor level of the house, so we can access the master bedroom deck on the west side of the house. So hopefully this gives you a good sense of the project and the general parameters. You can see a couple of trees that are reaching up to the sky in this render, and those are actually existing oak trees that we've worked with arborists through the process to ensure that we'll be able to maintain these. Considering what we're proposing in terms of how we will be building this deck. So the deck will be a permeable deck, and the support columns essentially that skirt the perimeter will be plastered for fire department, for fire purposes. And we'll have a permeable deck above and a cable rail type railing around the perimeter. And now I think we could probably bounce back to the second sheet. And on the lower portion of this page, you can see some views of the house from Monte Drive below. So there's quite a significant steep slope, it's called a sloughing slope in a way, from the road edge up to a solid hedge that's in place. And you can start to see a number of oak trees that poke their way through that space. When the clients purchase this home, you can see a lot of the oak trees south of, or I guess it would be north of the hedge line on the drive side of the road. There's some really butchered oak trees there. You can see they've been lollipopped over the years, but what we're trying to do is get those to flush back out and fill in to the extent possible and maintaining the existing oaks that are higher up the slope. I could probably bounce to the next sheet here if you could. Thank you. Yeah, so here's a existing condition. You can see the dashed line denoting the proposed extent of the new decking and how that works. So you can see in faint gray that number 3, that's the existing walkway that skirts the perimeter of the house for access, and a couple of those live oak trees that hug the home, and how the decking will respond to that, to those locations, so that we can prevent any type of negative impact on those oaks as we construct this deck. And if you scroll down, you'll see the proposed plan and the size of the deck that we're proposing. So it's fairly modest in size, about 20 by about a 20 by 20 size deck. And then it's a narrow walkway of 4 foot to wrap around to connect to the master patio of the house. And the idea is to unify all of that with one material and one grade, and that'll be our permeable decking material. Next sheet, please. And again, this has gone through Hope Ranch ABR, and so these are the materials and colors that we've come up with. Essentially, we're playing off of the existing material palette that is there. One deviation is to do with the plaster wall that we'll have at the base of this, the deck here. And that's going to be more of an earth tone type of plaster as opposed to the white plaster of the house. And the idea is we want that to recede. We'll also be planting that with ficus and screening that plant material below to make that disappear. And I think of note here, if you scroll down, you'll get a better sense of the grade change that we're dealing with. Thank you very much. So you can see here that we have a range and height of that deck as it protrudes out of the slope from about 9 foot at its highest to about 3 foot for the narrow portions of the deck. So between all of the vines that we'll be planting on the skirt of the deck, the underside, and also the additional trees we'll be planting below, we feel will be well screened from below, also considering the steep slope of below from the road looking up to the house. Next sheet is our irrigation and in-wheelo plan. So not much to look at there. Let's see, the next sheet will be a planting sheet that shows what will be maintained and what we're proposing. Because it is an ash area and adjacent to an ash area, the vast majority of our plant palette is going to be native here. Hope Ranch asked us to actually address that steep kind of sloughing slope at the road edge. So we'll be planting that with a tight growing baccharis. And again, the idea is to hold that slope to the extent possible and bring in some additional coast live oaks where possible to help with the screening, but also to accent the views to beyond. And I think that's probably a nice point to pass this off to the board for any questions.
All right, thank you. So I'll bring it back to the board. John, questions?
No questions.
Alex?
I don't have any questions.
No? Okay, I think I had one. Do you have an arborist report, right, for those?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And then I assume this is high fire zone, right?
Yes, it is.
And so what, I didn't look closely enough. The materials, two questions, I guess. The materials for the decking are used in, the subframe, is it heavy timber, and what's the decking material?
Well, so I think at this point we have an Ipe composite type of decking, Ipe colored composite decking, and then we'll have the plaster skirt around the base and heavy timber construction below. We do have some structural plans. They're not included in this, but we can bring them back the next time. But Ashley Vance has taken care of the engineering on this to date.
Okay, the other question I had was about, I think you said you're proposing vines on those walls. Is that allowed in high fire zone?
That's a good question. We'll double check, but that was a specific request from Hope Ranch ABR to add some creeping vine on that wall.
Okay, very good. So if there are no other questions, we'll go to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? See no attendees and no hands going up and no one standing up. So back to the board for comments. Mr. Verdiak.
Well, it looks well conceived to me, proper and necessary. Looks like a good project.
And so do we need to comment on the modification aspect also? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason we're seeing it, right? Is that, or at least the main reason we're seeing it. It seems like a justifiable modification because of the slope and the existing conditions. I mean, the whole house is already encroaching, right? Mm-hmm. And the locals, the Hope Ranch doesn't seem to have any problem, so I don't see why. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay. Ms. Grubb?
Yeah, I think it's well conceived too.
And
well presented.
Mr. Richards?
I agree. I think it's a good project.
All right.
Positive comments.
Okay. Yeah, looks good to me. I think the only question might be the vines and if that's allowed in a high fire condition. So maybe check into that. And you're here for concept, so you got some time. But otherwise, I think you're on the right track. And you could just verify the vine aspect. And get back to us. I think we can return probably prelim final on consent. No, we can't do that.
Modification.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, return for preliminary.
Can it be on consent? I mean, it's not gonna change, nothing's gonna change. Maybe the vines will change, but that's about it, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, so prelim on consent with allowance for public comment during that review. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, moving on, item number 3. Neeleman? Can't hear? Sorry. Neeleman, new residence, request of Tom Meany, architect for Cato Neeleman, for a conceptual review of a new residence of approximately 2,640 square feet and a swimming pool on a vacant parcel. With about 100 cubic yards of cut and 100 cubic yards of fill. It's a 2.13 acre parcel located at 1060 Winther Way in the Goleta area. And so, do we have the applicant present? Please state your name.
Tom Meany.
Tom?
Yes.
Whenever you're ready, just go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a vacant lot on the very, very end of Winther Way. This spans over to the adjacent street as well. And it's on this parcel, there was a previous application for a residence that was designed by Tom Oxner that went through pretty much into the permit set that was stopped, and they sold the parcel. So this is a new project that's basically in the same location of a previously approved residence. It's a really dramatic lot at the end of this long private lane. It's got some great mountain views to the north and northwest, a nice stand of oak trees that we're going to be preserving and kind of working the house around. There's 2 potential access points on the property. We're going to be going up the right-hand lane rather than the left-hand lane, just basically to try to keep the cars out of the view, which is primarily to the north, the northwest, and the west. So we figure by bringing the cars up the backside, it keeps that sacred view open from any sort of car access. So if you go to the site plan, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, so if you're looking at from this orientation, the top section is the private road that connects to Foothill, Winther Way, and then there's the adjacent private lane on the opposite side towards the bottom of the sheet, and that's where we're going to be accessing the property. So from this orientation, the great views are to the right, to the top right, and then to the top. That's pretty where most of the panorama is. So if we bring the cars along the bottom road, then it basically keeps the cars out of the nice views in those directions. And then also that oak stand is pretty much in the center of the property, a little more towards the top of the parcel as it's shown there in that location. So it's a large parcel surrounded by smaller parcels, but the size of the house is not outrageous in terms of the context of the neighborhood. It's a 1-story modest house. House. We're allowed to go up to 25 feet in this location, but we're keeping it all a 1-story house. Our highest ridge point measured to existing grade is 18 feet. There we go. So looking at this orientation now, so the great views towards the top, then off the top left, and then to the left. But the way it's oriented right now is really with the best view. A little more towards the left is where there's some houses on the San Marcos Foothills Preserve are located in the distance, very far distance, but the view in the direction of the axis to a little north of the sheet is really just a pristine view of the mountains. So you see the driveway coming in from the bottom right there. There's a couple houses to the right. One thing I'd like to note is the previous approved project, the house was 16 feet off of the right-hand side property line. In our current configuration, we are 38 feet and 42 feet. So we're much further from the neighbors than the previously approved project. We're cutting down the right-hand side of the lot. So we have the house on one level. We're going to be at grade on the left-hand side of the house. So we step out to the pool basically at floor level. So because of that, we're probably cut into the hillside about 6 feet on the right-hand side as it relates to the existing topography. You can see how it kind of slopes from right to left. And then left of the pool area there, that lined area is where those, I think it's 3 or 4 really pretty thin oaks are located. And so the view from the house across towards the pool is going to have the oaks behind it, and then the distant mountains beyond that as well. So we're coming in off that adjacent private lane, circular drive, 1-car garage, and the house is basically located on the flattest part of the property, orientated towards the best view. And then there's potential for a future ADU that's not marked down there on the bottom left, but right now it's just primarily a placeholder. And also from this view, you see where the adjacent residents are located. Their floor levels are uphill from our house, so they're up quite a bit higher. That's about it. So let's go to the next sheet. So like I say, it's a simple 1-story house, simple roof forms, pitched roof, simple gables, all one level, which is critical. With the main view coming into the center axis through the main entrance, and you get the mountain views directly beyond along that center line of the door. And then we have over to the left, the breakfast area and the kitchen, which is always taking advantage of the great mountain views, and then immediate access to the pool, which will be off to the left. And then to the right, we have the quiet area, which is the part of the house that's closest to the neighbors. So all that activity is moved away from the neighbors in terms of pool, outdoor patios, all of that is moved away from the closest neighbors, which would be off to the right. So you've got the master guest bedroom, closet, bath over on the quiet side of the house. Okay, keep going. Simple roof plan, simple straightforward gables, simple rectangles. Continue, please. So we're going to go with the standing seam metal roof with 12-inch ribs, 2x8 plaster walls. Looking at like some sort of a aluminum or metal look window system, like a Fleetwood for the doors and windows set into the 2x8 wall. So we should be able to get a nice reveal, probably like a 4 or 5-inch reveal back into the windows. Like I say, simple roof form, simple gables, big windows. Okay, keep going. So this shows the bottom one is basically the view side of the house. So on axis from the front door, we have that big sliding cassette that looks out towards the mountains. That element to the left is the master with big window system. And then to the right is the kitchen family area with another large window system looking out towards the view. And you can see where the existing grade is in relation to our height. So as we measure this, the ridge that's over to the left, measured off of existing grade, is 15 feet tall. And then on the right-hand side, that ridge where it hits the existing grade, that's our tallest point, and we're 17.5 feet at that point. So like I say, our allowable height is at 28. So we're more than 10 feet lower than the allowable height on the parcel. Okay, continue, please. Now we get into the boring stuff. So that's the basic concept for the house in terms of the siding and the orientation and preliminary grading. We plan on doing a landscape plan as the design develops. But in terms of concept, that's what it is. Basically a simple 1-story house, all one level, simple roof forms, metal roof, aluminum windows, 2x8 plaster walls, and making most of the living space and the orientation away from the neighbors and away from the entrance of the car access from below.
Can we go back to the site plan, David? Is that it, Tom? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board for questions. Question.
And it came up in a public comment.
Speak loudly.
Sorry, it came up in a public comment letter too. Tom, is your north elevation actually labeled as your south elevation on the plans? Just to clarify. It looks like, because your entrance is going to be on the south elevation, but I think it's labeled.
Can you hear that, Tom?
I mean, mine's labeled correctly. Can you scroll down yours?
So,
oh,
right.
Yeah, this is incorrect. Well, we updated that in some more recent version. Yeah, so that correct. And the south is actually the north, and the north is the south.
Right.
Sorry about that. Version in front of me, I've already corrected that.
All right, other questions?
Yeah, you know, the windows that on the lower elevation here, are those 8 feet? Is the head height 8 feet there?
They're 9-foot windows.
9 foot. Okay.
Is there a reason the one on the right is sort of pushed off to the right, not centered as the one on the left is?
Well, actually, what we've done is that unit turns the corner on the right. And what we've actually done since this, we've modified the master bedroom section so it does the same thing. So actually, the left-hand gable is now matching the right-hand gable. So the units, we go 3 wide on one side and then it turns the corner. So it's going to read more like a corner unit because the view is like diagonal outside of those 2 rooms.
Okay. And then to the site plan, maybe I had a question of you said the ADU at the bottom left, there's also looks like a 1-car garage attached to that.
Yeah.
Is that, you said that isn't part of this yet, or are we supposed to be?
It's still being processed whether or not it's to be part of this scope or future scope, but we kind of laid it out as a placeholder, and we're playing around with the plan in terms of orientation of the garage and whether or not the access for that garage is off of the lane to the left. So it might be coming off of a separate access point.
Okay, so we're just not sure yet.
Yeah, it's being worked on.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll have one more.
One more.
Do you have a direction for the roof and architectural materials yet? I know this.
It's standing seam.
Oh, standing seam. Okay.
Yeah.
Low reflectivity. We haven't placed the solar panels yet, but yeah, it's a low reflective, neutral gray, warm gray roof color most likely.
I just got a yes, simple question. Can you go to the site plan, please? Yeah, Tom, that turning circle doesn't look realistic. Usually on the bottom, you have to make a right-hand turn to leave. So it's a little bit odd. Is that final or is it kind of conceptual?
Conceptual.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I think that's all the questions. We'll now move to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? If so, please step forward to the podium and or raise your hand. And there's no attendees. Over. Just go. I don't know if the microphone is. Oh, it's right there. Actually, no. It's a little disc. Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
So thank you. Sorry, your name?
I'd just like to thank the architect, Tom Meany. Reducing dwelling seems potentially compatible with all the interests in the neighborhood. We have a little bit of confusion about the owner. She introduced herself as Marian Lemon, L-E-M-A-N. But the name on the application is Cato Nelliman, but the person I've identified in my letter as the owner, and I'm Linda Hance, by the way.
Thank you.
Linda, I'm Marianne, and my first name is Cato.
Okay, well, I'm just
Cato Eddie Marianne Nelliman. And in America, they automatically take the first name as your name.
Planner asked me to bring this up, so that's the only reason. Just a point of information.
My full name is Cato Eddie Marianne.
All right, I put you on mute.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm kind of nervous. As I mentioned in my letter, we've been living there for 60 years, and our neighbors to the left have been there for 40 years, and our neighbors to the right have been there for 30 years. And so we have a huge interest in what happens here. We're grateful to the owner for being so approachable, and we hope it works out to all concerned. And I'm looking forward to further details.
Do you have any comments about the architecture, the layout of the site, or anything?
They are in my letter.
Okay.
I thought we saw, Marian showed us 2 positions for the home, one as it is now, and another that was more sort of parallel to where at a right angle to where our fence is. which seemed to be looking more due north, and we preferred that angle. It preserved the community vista from our vantage point better.
Can you show us on the site plan where your property is located? You just to the east?
We're to the east.
So just on the right side there. That's
The upper one, the top right.
here.
3920.
Yeah, that one up there.
We're 3920, 3924. We produced a diagram so you can look this way towards the west into the property, so you can see how it really looks from our point of view. Because this is our front yard right here, and it gets a little lost. This looks like a public road here. It's not. It's our private property, and it's an easement. We have to keep this easement clear. My parents blacktopped it, but we plan to make it into an extended patio. But trucks come up this way, they go all the way across into the next property, which is the backyard, to the power poles.
Uh-huh.
That might provide.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, and I see no attendees, so we can bring it back to the board for comments.
Are there any other letters?
There was just,
There
were two letters, yes.
We can bring them up if you want.
Yeah, might as well. We can start comments. Okay, Alex?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's an excellent project. It's simple, well executed, one story, clear volumes, clean lines, nice materials, recessed windows. I think it's perfectly agreeable.
Mr. Verdiak?
I agree.
Okay, I guess we'll wait on. No,
You can skip me.
yeah.
I agree with previous comments, and I look forward to seeing that site plan develop further.
Yeah, I agree as well. You need a landscape plan, I would agree.
Okay, yeah, I concur. It looks like you're heading in the right direction. I think we need to work out some of the things, like what's happening with that garage and basically, yeah, site plan issues, the turnaround, landscape plan, the garage, and that's going to be an important aspect of this, the access to that one-car garage and ADU. But we'll look forward to seeing that next time when you come back for further conceptual / preliminary
/ final.
Well, let's have that debate. Do you want?
Well, it seems like the details are there, right? I mean, at least the architecture is very, very close. Maybe the landscape is not. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
Anyone else? Concept prelim final, concept prelim.
I mean, I guess we can agendize it for final.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like we're okay then with returning on concept prelim and possibly final at the next meeting. If all your, ducks are in a row.
Yeah.
Great.
Quack. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on then, item number 4, the Boulders lot number 9. Okay, request of Butch Wells, architect for the Boulders Partners LP, for conceptual review and prelim final approval of a new residence of approximately 3,426 square feet with an attached garage of 890 square feet and associated landscaping and grading on a currently vacant parcel, 300 cubic yards of cut, 150 of fill, 0.63 acre parcel located at 4720 Boulder Ridge Road in the Goleta area. And the applicants are here with us. Please state your names for the record.
I'm Jeff Nelson, CEO of Creek Company, and Jason Nelson.
Okay, so you can just tell David which page you want to be on and proceed with your presentation.
Okay, Butch Wells is the architect out of Murray Hufford's office, and we want to just set the stage a little bit and give you some context. So you saw the boulders over an extended period of time and went through 15 homes 5, 6, 7 years ago over an elaborate time. So there was, some homes were built, there's been a hiatus during COVID. And now we have a series of actual owners of the lots who are taking on the plans and staying with the same house basically, but they want to fine tune them. And all of these people are very intent on getting everything so they can make on their own. And there are supply chain issues where you've got to order the windows first day. And then so either you're at risk of choosing a slightly different tone for the windows and then not getting it through the AR, or staying with something that you don't like. And so that's cascades through all of these decisions that are really very minor. They're not, no one's blowing up the house and doing a new house. And then there are permitting issues on permits lapsing, like 13 and 9 would have, the two you had before, you would have gotten automatic extensions. If the permits had lapsed 2 weeks earlier, because it would have been a statutory exemption. So these,
which can talk to this, but basically these two lots that are before you today are the exact same plans that were approved 5 years ago. And so this is more of a zoning clearance issue rather than anything else, because the zoning clearance is expired. It required that we have to go through the VAR. So this is preliminary concept and final hearing for the same plans that were already approved. We actually have a building permit for both of these lots as well. So just giving you that context.
Can I ask something, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
What has changed between what was approved, and I guess it's both lots, so we can go a little bit faster. Okay, different details, different elevations, different in a new area.
For those two specific lots, nothing has changed. They're exactly the same as they are on the building approved building permit.
All the landscape plans, everything is the same.
And so that's not to say that there might not be a change in the landscape plan later, but we're trying to streamline these two so that it would take any actual fresh review issues out of play to get the zoning clearance activated again.
So he's just setting a stage for the other lots that are going to be coming up where we'll have minor, changes. Essentially, all of the landscape plans will have some personalization from each of the lot owners. So,
sure.
So that's all right.
Okay, that makes it easy.
Yeah. So we can talk about things. As it were. We can hand it over to you.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, and I wanted to see if Alex wanted to weigh in on any of that as far as the permit lapsing.
Just to concur that for lots 9 and 13, permits did expire because they just missed their window due to the pause with COVID, and so they're back in with kind of resuscitating the prior approvals with no changes.
Okay, and it looks like we have Sam Broderson also, who's the planner. Sam, do you have anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
So you've reviewed these plans and they are the same?
Yeah, they completely match the previously approved plans.
Okay.
So we don't really need to review this project then.
Well, we have the letter. So let's just go through the motions quickly, but are there any other, I think you have nothing else to add, right? Presentation wise. Any other questions from any board members? Okay, we do have a letter from the president of the, I can't even read my own writing, Santa Barbara something Creek, Antonio, or
San Antonio Creek.
San Antonio Creek HOA. Yeah. So I think I read that last night. I think she just said the same thing. As long as they are the same as what they were before, then they're fine with everything. So there you go. So I think we can, as you said, probably move
quickly.
Yeah, I think we can just move through this then. So if someone has any comments, speak up or go ahead and make a motion if you feel inclined.
Can we go to the elevation really quick, please? So we remember them. Okay, so that's one. Okay, and the other. And so far the colors are as approved right now. Okay, all right. Okay.
They have the color
Yeah.
They keep going to the colors at the end, I think. Because I remember we look at all of these houses very carefully.
Color board file.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, as long as it's all the same. We don't need to go through it. So,
Okay, very good.
so I think, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for, what is it called? Conceptual, preliminary, and final for Boulders lot number 9.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Josh. Okay.
What's the number, the next one then?
And then, yes, item 5, this is the request, same owners, same location, except lot number 13, 4711 Boulder Ridge Road. And I assume same presentation.
Correct.
But we can pull up those plans, and we have the same letter from the HOA, San Antonio Creek.
Yeah, look at the elevation, so we remember it. Yeah, okay. All right, same as before, no
Same as
changes.
before. Yeah, I did. I have, I guess, maybe one question or comment. Can you go to the landscape plan? There seemed to be some, it might even be the last sheet, whatever the planting plan is. It seemed like, and I don't think this would hold us up, it was just something to verify, but the square footages of the ground covers were way high, like 300,000 square feet of something. Yeah, so zoom into the bottom right. Maybe it's square inches. Yeah, and up to those names.
Or maybe you.
There you go. 30,000 square feet of Senecio. If you go, keep scrolling up a little bit, there's like the first one, Agrosas Palins, 298,000 square feet. I doubt that's correct. So, so I guess that would just be a comment to verify the quantities on your ground cover.
As an FYI, David Black was the landscape architect for this, who's now retired.
Yeah.
Natira Jones, who worked with David previously, is going to be working on some of these update plans.
Right.
So that'll be one of the things.
Yeah. Okay. So for what it's worth.
Okay.
Okay, we'll make a motion for preliminary, concept preliminary and final approval with a comment to for the landscape architect to clarify the amount of, what is it called, landscaping material?
The quantity on ground covers.
The quantity of ground covers.
Second.
Just before you vote, I just want to verify that there was no public.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too, sorry.
Right. I did say there was the same letter.
Right.
Was from the HOA of San Antonio Creek.
Was there a name on that?
Yes. I don't have it in front of me. I just wrote down.
Is it in the box?
Yeah, it should be in the box.
It's in the box, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Sandra Day O'Connor. No. Kendra
Kendra
Duncan O'Connor.
Really?
Very good. So we had a motion and a second, and we voted, right?
No.
We've voted. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
You guys are flying today.
I know. There was the guy in here earlier about number 7.
I know, worried about 7 now.
Do we?
Once maybe we finish number 6, or we can take a break and then go on.
Okay.
I wanted to see how quick number 6 starts.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, would you give him, was he here for public comment, or was he?
He's the applicant.
He's the applicant. We should probably call him now,
Okay.
because
You want to take a little break?
let's take a break now. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to take a 6-minute break, and we'll return at 10:20.
Mr. Chair, we and I will have to step down for the next item.
Right. Okay.
What was that? Sorry, I had to take off. I had a little emergency
Yeah.
show.
That's
Sorry.
what speed.
You gotta hurt yourself. How are you, John?
Okay.
Doesn't seem like okay.
Well, I've been through
Yeah.
the meals,
Yeah.
but I'm
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're ready. All right, we will now reconvene the SBAR meeting of April 1st, 2022, brought to order with item number 6, the Galileo Pisa LLC Apartments. Request of Trudy Carey, agent owner, for preliminary approval of a 27 unit apartment building along with associated site improvements, including 3 covered carports, 2 trash enclosures, common open space areas, landscaping, paving, hardscape, and 60 parking spaces. Property is currently 2 separate parcels, and it's located at 5317 Calle Real in the Eastern Goleta Valley Area Community Plan area. Too many areas, but last heard August 28th of 2020. And so, do we have the applicant present?
There is
there are many comments from last time, and there's a planner memo. I'll go ahead and read the planner memo real quick.
that first.
So planner's comments. It says this may proceed for prelim final, but the agenda says prelim. So what's the correct?
Whatever the agenda says.
Okay, so we're here for preliminary approval, and the planner comments are as follows. The project was approved by a vote of 5-0 by the Board of Supervisors on March 1st, 2022, with no modifications or reductions in density to the project. Supervisor Hart led a discussion regarding the project's density, which concluded a reduction in units on the top floors east and west elevations was not necessary, and the project is compatible with the neighborhood as designed. All right, so if we have an applicant here.
Yeah, they're on their way. They're parking right now.
Okay. Okay, we'll just hang out for a minute, and the applicant is on their way into the building and will be here momentarily. So, yeah. I think it might help. Not that you love hearing my voice or anything, but anyway, here we go. SBAR comments from the last time, which was August 28th of 2020. Some board members support the project as presented for conceptual review and feel it is ready for review and approval by the Planning Commission. The board will look for further development of the east and west ends of the building following review and approval of the project by the Planning Commission. One board member believes the project has the appropriate density, design, mass, bulk, and scale, and is consistent with the existing zoning and ordinances and county comprehensive plan policies currently in place. One member prefers to wait for Planning Commission review until additional study is made on the east and west ends of the building. One board member suggests the applicant remove 1 unit at each end, east and west, to drop 1 story off each end. Board finds the proposed colors and materials acceptable. Consider and study of a sloped roof in the center portion of building. Most board members prefer concrete board form finish to the split face block on carports. One member does not like split rail fencing. And restudy tree list and locations. Trees proposed at the east end will further inhibit mountain views. Consider addition of more oaks and sycamores in lieu of Lophostomen and paperbark tree. That is all the comments. So we'll wait for the applicant to arrive and then continue. Thank you for joining us. Your name, please, for the record.
Trudy Carey.
Hey, Trudy, we introduced the project, I read through all the comments and through the planner memo, and so we're just waiting.
Thank you.
So you can take it away whenever.
Sorry about that. Congratulations on being ahead.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, I'm Trudy Carey, the applicant. Is this on okay?
Are we unmuted?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
As you know, Alex Puyo, architect, and Robert Richards, landscape architect of our team, have been recused today from this item as they sit on your board. Since we were last here, we were enthusiastically approved with unanimous 5-0 votes from both the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, each on our first visit. They both specifically reviewed the density, the placement of the buildings, the back of the site, landscape, the height of the building and carports, and the architecture with unanimous approval on these specific issues as well. As you know, those were neighborhood concerns, so they took the time to address each one. As you know, this is a difficult site. It has an irregular shape, wide public streets on two sides, two 20-foot front setbacks, and very specific public works and fire department requirements for access. The site backs up to an existing 3-story storage building. The grade is relatively flat, but at the east end, it is 8 feet below the grade of Patterson Avenue, making the building appear 2 stories on the east side. There is no street parking in the immediate neighborhood, so ample parking is provided on site. The BAR has done a thorough review of the project, and today we're here to address the few remaining details, which are, as you know, looking at further detailing at the end elevations, considering a sloped roof at the center of the building, which we've added, reconsider the tree list and locations, which we've done. We know you have a full agenda today, and we'll keep our presentation brief. Let's go up a few sheets to sheet A 3.1. For the revised elevations, as you can see in the west elevation at the top, we were able to step back the 3rd floor by enclosing the stairwell and sliding it back to face the building. Additionally, we went to a narrow gable to reflect the architecture of the existing adjoining self-storage buildings. This also made for a cleaner veranda feel at the balcony end and provided a covered patio for the 1st floor apartment. The window that you see to the far right has been added into the stairwell. At the north elevation, you can see the sloped roof at the center of the building, which has been a vast improvement and a good suggestion. The east elevation mirrors the west. As a note, we mentioned before, at the east elevation, the 1st floor will not be seen from vehicles and pedestrians on Patterson Avenue as the building's 8 feet below grade there in the southern corner. I forgot to put a line there on the drawings. Now we're going to go to sheet A 3.0, one slide up, go the other way. There you go. These are the elevations with landscape. They've been updated to show the changes to the plant palette and placement, which we'll go over in more detail when we get to the landscape plan. Now go down this to 0.2. I'm sorry, I told you the wrong way. Go up to the beginning, sheet AO 0.2. You're almost there, right there. This is a new sheet to the set. It has special floor plans now for the N units. That would be the townhouse in the 1st floor flats. You can see clearly we slid the stairs back, but previously they were out toward the planter. And that slid the electrical room down and provided the covered patio. And those units got a little extra space because of that change to the end. And you're going to see that reflected on the other sheets. Next slide, please. Here's the 1st floor plan of the entire building with the end floor plans revised on the 1st floor. You'll see the covered patio. Next slide, please. This sheet shows again the updated floor plans on the 2nd floor. Next sheet. This gives us a good review of what's happened on the roof. You can see the slope ends of the building, and now you can see the parapet in the center of the building, still keeping space for future solar, HVAC, and fire department access. On the plan below, you can see the lower roofs that have been added at both building ends. on this at the second floor level, and those plans were updated too. Next slide, please. The slide, the section at the bottom there, BB, has been updated and it shows now the parapet roof. Next slide. These are new, this is a new sheet. These are the sections through the special units at the end now. So you can see what's happening there with the revised floor plans. And we next, let's see here. Now we're going to go down to the color board. A3.2, just go down a little more. There you go. This was previously approved. I just brought it back so we kind of all remembered the palette. And next slide is landscape. So on the landscape, we were requested by the board to replace the Melaleuca and the Brisbane box trees with other varieties. All the Melaleucas were replaced with Laura Saratoga trees. At the west end, we replaced the Brisbane box trees with a strawberry and a gold medallion, which is already in our palette. And at the east end, we replaced the Brisbane boxes with a strawberry tree, a gold medallion, and a coastal live oak. Also at the east end, we relocated the gold medallion tree that used to be further north, and we brought it down to the south of the sidewalk to Patterson. So we would increase the mountain views from Patterson Avenue looking in that direction. We believe we've incorporated all your remaining suggestions and have a better project because of your input. We request approval today so we can move on to working drawings. This concludes our presentation and we look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. So we will bring it back to board for questions. Mr. Verdiak, questions?
The divider in the street, that wasn't there before. That's part of this project.
Yes.
And on the left side, is there a division there too?
Yes, that's existing.
That's existing, but the planter part is part of this project.
Well, I didn't say that correctly.
No.
That's the existing divider right now.
This right here, John, is that what you're asking? That's existing.
That's existing.
Oh,
And that will be changed to put in a left turn pocket
There. Okay.
for Public Works.
So that'll be good.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, not for me.
Rob, questions?
Just just quickly cover item on the comments that were given. Could you please just review real quickly item D? Sorry, let me get this right. Yeah, item D and E and F. Just want to make sure that we understand what we last saw and what we're seeing now with regard to those items. So one was, item D was just, I'm sorry, not D, my bad. Item E, the proposed code. Sorry, where was I?
F, probably.
Oh, yeah,
Consider and
F.
study.
Sorry, there it is. F and G, that's what I was talking about in my brain
Might have to
before
read
I
it.
started.
I don't have that in front of me.
Slope roof in the center portion of the building. Could you just quickly talk about what you did there that was different from the last time we saw it? And then what was that?
That was, we just looked at that. That was the parapet roof at the center. We can go back to
Go to the
the roof plan if you want, or the elevations. There you go.
Okay.
In the center portion where the green roof is, that's now sloped. Before that was flat.
Right, and so it looks like what you did there is you had sloped on the north side, Cali Real side, and then the south side's kind of stayed the way
It stayed the way it is.
That's fine. And then what was the discussion about concrete board form finishes to the split face block on the carports? How did you resolve that?
Well, that was interesting. That was kind of I'm not sure what that was exactly. When we were here the last time, we had replaced the block walls with wood fencing. But then we got a note about we prefer plank to block. So I'm happy with plank or wood fencing. We've shown it as wood fencing. But if you prefer it be concrete plank, it can be. It's probably better for maintenance.
What did you, well, just maybe the easy way is, what did you guys end up with as a finish for those?
Wood fencing, 2x6
Okay.
in G.
I think that's fine.
Okay, that's here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
And there's a detail of that on one of the landscape pages.
Then there was consider the addition of more oaks and sycamores in lieu of Lophostomen and paper bark tree. Was that successful for you guys, or?
Yeah, we went with more gold medallions, their arbutus, and adding another coastal live oak.
I think the other items on the comments were kind of singular voices on the board, so I didn't want to get too deep into that, but those seem like the more general consensus items. I just want to make sure we're all satisfied with that. Thank you.
So, okay, thank you. Do you have quantities on the trees? I'm just kind of curious, because we were asking for more oaks and sycamores. And do you know where you ended up with that?
Well, I think we're asked to, not more, but to substitute, maybe. We were asked to take out the Brisbane box and the Melaleucas and consider sycamores and the other one.
Right, but you, okay.
We have 74 trees as last count.
So you have 5 oaks and no sycamores? Okay.
No, we're not a sycamore fan.
Okay. All right, very good. And then last question I had was what's the height limit situation with this, with regards to this building? Because
The height is 35 feet, which we're under, except in one location where we had that sloped roof, and staff gave us, there's a rule about if you're higher, but only for 300 square feet of the roof, you're okay.
Right.
We have that one exception on the east end.
Okay, so you're basically maxed out.
Yeah. I think if you look at the drawings, I think we're like at 34, something like
Yeah,
that.
looks like it. Okay. All right, that's all I have for questions. Any other questions?
So the next step is to bring them back for preliminary final.
Well, they're here for preliminary.
Okay. Do we have any, I guess, public comment?
Yeah. So is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? If so, step to the mic or raise your hand. Seeing no attendees, so no public comment. And so we'll bring it back to the board for comments. Board member Verdiak, comments.
Oh, its project has gone through quite a metamorphosis, so to speak, and I think it's fine.
Okay. Board member Grubb.
I wasn't at the previous reviews, but I think the project's suitable to the site in that context. So.
Okay. And Vice Chair Bloomer.
I'm satisfied that the comments from our last review seem to be addressed adequately. So I'm supportive of it. Unless you have any other comments, I'm happy to make the motion.
Okay, I guess a question just popped in. The left turn lane, is that in the set here, or is that going to be included?
It's drawn in the set.
It is, okay.
It hasn't been engineered yet in the working drawing phase.
Okay. And so
You know the length that's required. They haven't, until they survey it, you won't know how big the width is for landscape.
okay, very good. So does anyone have input regarding the carport enclosures? It seems like you prefer to have like a concrete, right? Less maintenance, more sound barrier.
I would.
Yeah.
I'll put in a vote for it being concrete.
Yeah. So board form concrete on the carport.
Yeah, the prefab concrete planks, what I think.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
I would say, well, I'll make a motion to see if you.
Okay. So yeah, that was, I don't have any additional comments. I think,
Maybe can I interrupt a second? Could it just be wood fencing or concrete plank?
I was gonna,
We'll see, yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I have no additional comments. I think the applicant responded well to the previous comments.
So I'll make a motion to, Mr. Chair, to grant preliminary approval today with one comment for the applicant to study a new material for the carport enclosures. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And the board is open to a cementitious material.
Or wood fencing.
Or wood, yeah, cementitious or wood. So you could choose cement,
okay,
or cementitious, and you figure that one out.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Grubb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Last minute. Oh, to return to full board for final. Sorry, the maker of the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Yes.
instead of saying consider, could you just say it can be wood or fencing?
I think that was the
In
intent.
case the board changes, it's not like it was a.
Yeah, that was the intent.
Just wanted to
Um,
open it up for you guys to pick one that you think's best.
So,
I think that the idea here is, I think the previous discussion was that weren't too keen on the CMU block. So I think
The
it's
split face.
yeah, something like, like I just on discussion here, like cementitious in my mind means plaster, board form concrete, or cement paneling, or wood.
I just want to narrow it down so I can do the working drawings. So if it could just say
I think all those things will be acceptable.
fencing or plain. Okay.
Yeah, just
I think maybe the comment shouldn't be just, don't come back with split face CMU block.
Cement
Yeah.
material would be better sound barrier.
Yeah,
right.
but we're happy to accommodate you so you have a good maintenance.
So your choice, except for split face. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
No
No,
problem.
we were
just-
early. You were fine.
Yeah. Okay, moving on then to item number 7, which I need to step down for.
Right, Chris.
So I'll pass.
I need another member to come back in.
Oh, yes.
One man enter,
I'll go find him.
one man leave.
So I'm
Go ahead. I have
So we'll resume here. Gilliland's, I was gonna get his name wrong again. Gilliland stepped down, accused himself from this item, so I'll be taking this on. So do we have our applicants here?
Yeah.
I'll have a seat. Go ahead and state your names for the record and go ahead and make your presentation. If you need to advance the slides, just give David a nudge and he'll move the slideshow along for you.
Do I say the recording for mics or it's whatever you.
If you like the lectern, you'll be.
That's fine. All right. So let's go to the next slide, just to get sort of like site context. So this is an interior, actually go to
By the way, Adam, can you just, sorry to interrupt,
sorry.
but can you just give us the neighbor? I know you have a picture in here somewhere of the aerial photo. Just get us oriented on where we are neighborhood wise.
This is what I'm doing. Scroll down
There we
to
go.
the 4th page. There's a survey. Okay, so basically we have Ahe Lane up to the Ahe Drive up to the upper left-hand corner, and then this is an interior lot that's basically 4 down, and ours is on the lower right-hand corner with the only building is the shed in the parking lot right there. And then this was a lot split that happened in the mid-2000s. This was a long lot split into 4 lots. Our property used to have a triplex on it, so 3 units, and the parking lot is kind of that is there, and the pavement that's there is a remnant of that former use. And when the lot split happened, that was demolished because it was too close to the property line. So it used to be quite a dense development at one point.
Yeah, can you go to the photo mapper image? I just want to make sure, is this Foothill we're looking at or?
Okay. Okay.
So go to the first page. We can do the vicinity map.
Hold on, right here, just, yeah, give us the, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where are we in the? I'm just not familiar with this. Is that MoDOT?
It's
Ahe and Hollister.
Hollister.
Yeah, it's
Okay. And then what's the nearest cross section on Hollister?
So,
Cross street.
Hollister, the high school is like down the street to the left of us. And
Oh, this
then
is kind of across from the Page Center?
It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where, okay, I know exactly where
And
you are
there's
now.
that church
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right on the corner.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
right
Sorry,
there.
sorry, guys, I just, now I get it.
So basically that spur that comes off of Hollister is Ahe Drive. And then we have a private lane that comes down from there, that's called Ahe Lane from Ahe Drive. And so we have this former large lot that's split into 4 individual lots and developed over the years. Our client owns his son lives on the adjacent property on 460, 160, and then 164 is currently vacant, and he is looking to move in there with his wife and daughter and her husband. They currently live in Hope Ranch proper in a very large house, and they're looking to sort of downsize and to keep this multi-generational living situation that they have, and develop this property and sort of have this enclave for the family. So if you go up to the site photos, to sort of get context. So this is the site itself. There is the son's house is a blue one, right, in clear view, and there's a little cottage that's existing non-conforming. That's like in the riparian zone and all that. Nobody's touching that on my property, but that's down at the bottom of the site, and yeah, it's just pretty much a vacant lot with a tough shed on there right now. And then if you go up to the site context, and then these are the photos of the existing structures on the property. So basically, some of them are cottages, some are 2-story multifamily. Behind that red fence, there's multiple units and developments. So the public record's going to have like the square footages on there, so I can see what exactly that is. But from the aerial view on the right-hand corner, you can see that the development itself has quite a few buildings on it. And then and our proposal is really to sort of like meet with to look at in context with these existing structures and sort of sink in and do a cut and fill with the property. So let's go after the survey. There's 2 sheets of the survey. All right. So if we're all oriented on the property, so this is the orientation has rotated to orient with the building, and so what we're proposing is to have a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house with a attached garage. The son-in-law does a lot of work with like motorhome trailer kind of things. So like the attached garage is really for that sort of use, to sort of keep that out of sight of the neighbors and everything. And my client Jack here he sort of goes through cars and sells and buys new ones. So we have a 3-car garage out in front because we basically wanted to like hide all of that stuff from neighbors and sort of conceal it as possible. We're an interior lot, so we basically have a 10-foot setback on 3 sides that we're adhering to, and then we have a 25-foot setback that we're adhering to front half with the garage. And then we provided fire access and turnaround between like the 2 sites with the neighbor to the south and us, and that's how we're providing guest parking access to the garage.
All right, okay. I don't see a lot of controversy in that, Adam. So if you want to just go to the last 2 slides and talk about the architecture and focus on the materials, I think.
Oh, sure.
I think we can. Nikki's done a pretty good job of getting us on the same site with you.
Yeah, so the house itself, the client had a very specific contemporary style that they were looking for. With the shed roof, we basically oriented it so that it's more private towards those 10-foot setback areas with less glass, and then the interior courtyard is much more light, and that's sort of facing the existing creek, and not really looking towards any neighbors. And if it is, it's being blocked by pretty large eucalyptus trees. So we're sort of like inward facing towards like the courtyard of the property. The materials are a stone veneer, which we're looking at various samples for right now, and we're looking to a party board rain screen that's like more of a reminiscent of a wood plank. And then the windows, we're looking at a couple of different options right now, either a higher fiberglass or a higher fiberglass black and standing seam metal. And then if you go to the last slide, we have some building sections or the schematics of building sections there that sort of show our heights, and so that dashed line is the 35-foot height limit. We're, because of the slope of the site and also the fact that we're doing a strip cut fill on the site and pushing down the building, we're about 5 feet lower than the son's house, which is just next door. So we're sort of pushing it down.
Right, good. I think that we'll put a pin in that. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, like in this plan right here, the north is on the right or the top. Okay.
The north is
The left, excuse me.
is to the right of it. We rotated the plan. So if we go
The north is to the left, the top of the page.
The north is the left side.
The north is to the left. Okay, so you're rotating the direction. Okay.
It's in that left corner of the property.
Okay.
Exactly. So south is the interior courtyard.
And you say the property slopes from east to the west. It slopes down. Is that what it is?
It's from the northwest to the south to the southeast.
Okay.
Yeah, it slopes down.
Slopes down from the northwest to the east.
Yeah, the creek is where this site plan is. The creek would be to the right.
Right to the south of the property.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Southeast.
And and you said you wanted to separate the garage because you wanted the garage for your vehicles and then some other garage for your what's it called, a home,
Or like a RV trailer.
RV trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
We have,
And what's the ceiling height? It seems like the second floor is higher than the others. Or what are the plate heights, the
yes.
wall heights?
So we have so the first floor we have 11-foot floor to floor to get a 10-foot ceiling on the first floor to be more generous with that. On the second floor, I believe we're doing a 8-foot for the right side of the property and a 9-foot for the left, and then it slopes up from there to break up the roof lines. And then also we're doing vaulted ceiling, so that would make that feel taller as well.
I have a minor question. Is it intentional that the siding changes from horizontal to vertical?
We're kind of playing with like the orientation when getting material samples, but we're looking at probably doing all horizontal, but it's sort of up in the air.
Okay.
I had one final question, if there's any others. I just talk a little briefly, just what's your strategy for those landscape design? Are you going to bring a landscape architect in the subsequent meetings, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to bring.
All right, so we don't have. I see there's kind of a preliminary design there, so we'll just add that as a comment later, probably, so that we don't waste any time on it. it sounds like we'll have a landscape architect in front of us next time. So, right? Yeah, okay. All right, any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Do we have any letters or comments?
Yeah, we have a few, right?
Okay,
Yeah, there's these two.
a few. Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. I didn't see those. Let me look again.
Henderson and.
Oh, here we go. All right, let me quickly read through the comment letters. So we have one from Nils and Alexis Henderson. Your neighbors to the lot in question, unable to attend a hearing. So they want to express concern about they call the massive size and scope of the proposed construction. They feel that it will be out of character with the single family residential in our neighborhood. Referencing the Eastern Goleta Community Plan, just for reference, is that applicable here?
Yes.
I think it is, right? They're alleging that it would be twice as large as their home. Referring to the lot in its disposition being empty or storage or whatever. And so they want to know, they're interested, they want to, I think what they're asking for in this first bullet point is understanding how the sunlight is affected in shadow. So there's a shadow study maybe being asked for here to understand how this would affect neighboring properties. I know there's a term we use for that. I can't remember what it is. Solar, what is it? Solar study or a analysis of that. There's so they're also concerned about the height as it appears from their property. I guess there's some alleged concerns here about rental versus single family. I don't know how to address that. Environmental concerns, water usage and drainage nearby the creek. So there's some comments here about utility poles. I can't discern here. And we have another letter here from some really nice signature. I can't read the name. Kenneth Lurdy? I don't know. Down at the bottom. I guess the name at the top.
Yeah.
Jen. So, oh, here we go. Kenneth and Laura Lukin. I think they're not in support of your project. I can't.
Mostly about construction.
Yeah, they seem to be concerned about just the activity that is there now and will be there in the future with construction, but they're not asking for us to, oh, here, one more too many. So maybe the concern here is density. I don't know. It's not clear to me reading this. So any other letters or hands up on the peanut gallery? Okay, back to the board for comments. You want to start, Alex?
Yeah, we go back to the plans. Yeah, I think we go to the site plan, which is maybe the third, fourth sheet.
It's a floor plan, site plan.
Page 6. There you go.
You can, yeah, fit it on the screen. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Yeah, I'm impressed by the amount of paving of the property. I think you need to figure out the way to do less paving and more open space. And I think it has to do with your, I can see how you have the fire turnaround. But then, and you have your parking facing the driveway, and that's easy, that's very practical. But then you have the other leg going up and then into the, what looks like another parking space and then the big trailer and whatever the other big parking is. It's a lot of space taken by all that circulation. It's kind of, you have to find a more practical way to do this. Also, because it takes in, it eats up the other space. It's nice to have some trees, something, to get back to the. I understand that the area has been paved, but you still have a responsibility to give something back in terms of landscaping, canopy trees, etc. I like the style of the house, but it does seem to be a little bit bulky, and maybe there's a way to distribute the mass. So maybe the garage is attached and the house it's moves a little bit forward. I don't know. I don't want to design it for you, but I think there's a way to do something else that's a little bit more practical, that uses better space better. It is a pretty decent sized lot, the 10,000 plus square feet. The house is big, all of these things are about 5,000 square feet. That's quite large. But I imagine you can do something like that, but you're gonna have to really work a little bit harder. That's what the way I see it.
I'm going to interrupt with a question, just because I think it's going to come up, but just briefly give us a quick explanation. I know that your property line's here, and there's one more property here that has an existing residence on it, and how is this being resolved? This sharing, is this a shared driveway or what's going on there?
Yeah, it will be a shared driveway, and I have the other way.
Yeah. So, I mean, just from a permit processing standpoint, you guys have, have a legal precedence for how this is going to get done, and
yeah, we're going to have to do like probably a covenant of easement to resolve like the shared.
Okay.
Yeah, there's already recorded access easement, and so that might fall under that. But if not, then
yeah, that answers my question. All right, John, let me hear some more comments, and then if you need to do, I'll give you like a minute or two to respond to anything that you've heard so far. So go ahead, John.
Well, I think that the house does appear to be massive, but we're not seeing it in relation to the other houses in the area. And so that makes it difficult to judge. I think that, just seeing the photographs is not, it's hard to relate and put them all together. I think that your elevation should show the adjacent buildings in relationship to this building. I think it is massive, and I mean, it could be a problem. Either we should have a site visit there, or see the elevations with relationships to the adjacent buildings. I mean, I think that you could try to reduce the mass somehow, and make it relate more to the neighborhood. See, they ask us to say, look at the mass, bulk, scale, neighborhood compatibility. So, I mean, that's what we have to look at. And just seeing it isolated like this is difficult to make that judgment. So
I think a summary of that to John, if I may, is so with regard to neighborhood comparison, I think what we usually ask for from applicants is to do on like I guess I would use maybe your site plan, floor plan that you have on page 6, isolate that and expand it on either side or on the pertinent sides to the discussion, and show the outline of the adjacent properties and adjacent buildings. You don't need to get too detailed about it, but just, footprint and probably a good idea to add. Yeah, it sounds like you should study some way of answering what John's talking about the elevations as well, which would be, like doing it on the site plan's easy if you just add the adjacent outlines. But if we're going to do elevations, I just want to confirm something. Are we talking about an elevation along this road, looking at the houses on either side? Is that what, like, kind of that being like the street front?
Yeah, it would put it in scale
Okay, so like some
with the neighborhood.
diagrammatic type drawing that,
On this section, this could see the street on the other side, the building on the other side.
yeah, and I think you already have a section there, so maybe just maybe
Extend the section.
work with your sections to extend them a bit on section 3.
It'd be helpful too to have the
Section 2.
addresses of the other homes, so then we know to reference the neighbor's level.
So I think what we're saying is on your site plan, floor plan, add the neighboring property outlines and building outlines, and then on sections 2 and 3, extrapolate those as best you can to show kind of the massing of the adjacent structures. I don't think you have to draw a full street elevation. But I think the sections would do that, right?
Right.
To give us the profile, right?
Yeah.
But if you choose to do the elevation, if it makes your argument better, I don't know, but, okay. And then the other comment I heard from you, John, was this study the massing.
Yeah, I think
See first of
the architecture, you know, in itself is okay, but it's somewhat chaotic to me. And I think, you know, maybe studying more, make it more not uniform. I can't design it.
Simple, maybe, simplify.
Simplify, there's a word. Yeah.
John, did you want to add any comments to Alex's discussion about the site, hardscape and landscape of
Well, I agree with that. I think there is a lot of paving there. I sort of like the idea of the little courtyard that's private there and, you know, kind of intimate, but yeah, I like that. And but there is a lot of paving there. And if we could somehow get some more landscaping in there, it might be beneficial.
right, Kaylee?
I guess this is a question to the board. As we head into prelim, is it worth asking for story goals? Because we have so many questions about size, bulk, and scale.
I think maybe the next time, well,
Next time.
we're, I
Maybe
don't,
we'll answer a lot of
so
the
this is
questions
agendized for
we have.
conceptual, yes?
Can we visit the site?
I don't think we're gonna be heading into preliminary based on the way this hearing's going. I think we're gonna have another round of conceptual. So my advisement is we let the applicant digest all this and come back with something. And then I think from there, then if there's still a need to story poll.
Then I have one design comment then, just to add to
Yeah.
the rest of the architecture discussion. I think the stone columns coming through the upper terraces adds to the bulk of the architecture, and I think a restudy of that could
Okay,
complement this.
great. And then back to Alex, you had an
Oh, yeah,
additional comment?
if the access is available, I'd like to just for me to take a look. I can walk down the drive, and that would be, nobody would arrest me, right?
You can drive down. That's fine.
Okay.
Depends on how fast you drive and what you're wearing.
So
Or
it's
not wearing.
just to make a fair judgment, so just to see, to take a look for myself. I will do that before the next time.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that. It's easy to see, right? Just to get an idea of what the neighborhood looks like.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I
Caleb?
have-
No. John?
Um,
All right.
Can we look at the elevation? I think like that north elevation, it seems like that's a really big expanse of walls put right up on the setback. I might encourage you to study opportunities to try to, I think, vary the architecture a little bit in a way where you don't have a two-story mass right at the setback. 'Cause I think the neighbors have shared that they're concerned about how that's maybe incompatible. And also I think the architecture of the existing building that is shown, maybe there's a first sheet photographs. Like, to me, that style architecture might be a little more compatible with what's going on in this area. So I would say-
Which specific picture are you looking at? Give us
well,
a-
the existing home that's on the site.
Number 5 or 9 or
Yeah, I think that
this
number
one
5.
here? Or
To me,
that?
that just has a little bit more of a quality that I see in that. So
Okay.
that's might be a good direction.
Since you got landscape architects over here, any further comment about Alex's discussion on the site work? And John and Alex seem to think that there needs to be some study there. Do you guys want to put any comments forward about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's there is pretty preliminary right now, so I look forward to further development landscape plans. And I agree that the site is pretty built out, so seeing where you can carve out more outdoor spaces. And
Okay.
that's landscape.
All right, good. So I'll summarize. Just going back to the elevations again. Go back to slide number 7, David. Sorry, like you have a sip of water there. Well, first comment I have is I'd like you to make some effort to work with your neighbors to try and address their concerns. The more that you can do that with them, the better for you. Otherwise, we'll have to mediate that. And I don't think either party will be as happy as they would be if you guys come to some resolution on your own, but a try. Also want to compliment you on the drawings. The use of the red annotation is a really brilliant idea. Just kidding. They're nice documents and it helps us understand what we're looking at. I guess to the comment about the mass, bulk and scale in the second story, the shed roof idea is it's an attractive architecture, no doubt. But I think it does a little bit struggle to fit into this neighborhood setting, and I think that's why everybody wants to kind of suss that out. But shed roofs kind of do head in one direction. They don't, so. And I don't think you want to do gabled roofs, but you may want to consider introducing a parapet roof here and there. I think the attempt is to be contemporary, which I think is a great direction to go. And if there was maybe a parapet roof concept that might still give you that contemporary feel, but this mitigates some of what's happening in the shed roof, so it can be mixed in. I'm a little hesitant saying because I don't want to add any new elements to the architecture to create any more complexity to it, but it's something to think about. I think Robert's idea would be to get more of a gabled roof scheme going on the other house that you saw there. I agree with Kylie. I kind of seized on that too. Like there's just a lot of mass coming up. It kind of feels a little bit like when I look at that perspective, it reminds me of kind of like a mountain architecture that feels kind of substantive, and heavy. And I think maybe some study about lightning, using some of the vernacular of the wood, maybe getting into more of a more slender wood framing might, I think it's nice that you have these stone bases and stuff, but maybe there is something to that to look at, maybe redetailing that and lightening it up. I did have a thought for you on just the discussion about the site plan. I'll go to the first floor plan. One quick thing here is extending this piece out a little bit might help announce the entry a little bit more, just letting it push through, because it's a little bit hard to know what's happening there on that side of the building. But I don't know if this is possible because there's turnarounds that are needed, but given that there's an interest in automotive work, and hobbies or whatever it is, if this garage were to move towards the street more and open up to the courtyard, then it does kind of ensure that whatever activity is happening in there is kind of inward facing, and maybe provides more area in this courtyard to accommodate all those things, and also privatizes it so that, and another thought too would be to put garage doors on both sides, so that if this is how you're coming and going, this thing's not working anymore. If you're coming and going on the alleyway side or the driveway side, thanks, Alex.
I replaced the batteries in all of them yesterday.
There it is. So if you're coming in here to park, but you have garage doors on this side, then when you're actually doing what you're doing in these things, it privatizes it, and maybe moving it towards the street gives you a little bit more room to maneuver. I don't know, but that was just the thought I had about that. So
perhaps you could have the architecture surround this courtyard more too.
Okay, so Alex, did you get all that?
More or less.
Complexity is the name of the game here. All right, so just I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds, Adam, to respond to anything that you think we need to know before we close up on this.
I think I agree with the board of like trying to, so basically showing the context of the existing site, showing the elevation of context of the surrounding properties. And then also solar study to show that like what effect that is happening on the site. I think pretty much we're shadowing ourselves mostly, but we'll provide that as well.
Okay, well, I'm gonna concur too that I think you need to find a little bit more opportunity for the landscape to show up on the plan. It's a little bit much on the hardscape. So we're gonna have you come back for further conceptual. We're not gonna have you do any story polling until we have a good sense of it. And we're inviting all the board members to, or any other interested parties to contact the planner and planning. I don't know how, it's a private lane, so I can't necessarily invite the public to come down there, but it sounds like you're inviting the board members to come and take a look.
Oh, you're
at the
more than
property.
welcome to come. It's a private lane. My son owns the house on the beginning.
Yeah.
The house that's near the stream is also owned by me.
Okay.
So you're more than welcome. I'd be happy to even meet you guys. The driveway that you see there, that big, the main driveway with the turnaround, that's the fire department's requiring
Yes,
that.
yeah, sure.
That's a
We're-
permanent easement.
Yeah,
So
we've seen
as
that.
far as the paving there, I was looking at in the paving there, maybe breaking it up and having grass strips between to give it more of a park-like atmosphere versus just a long driveway that.
To soften it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be living there, so I'm gonna try to make it as nice as possible.
Well, I'll take a drive by there.
All right, good. So we're gonna close on this. You guys get back to the drawing board and meet with your neighbors and come back and see us at the next round, and we'll have a look at it then. Nice work. Thanks. All right, moving on. Somebody mind, if you guys see Chris in the hallway, tell him to come back.
Item number 8.
On to item number, I'm gonna jump in and just keep us moving until Chris gets back. So
Is it possible to create a password on?
805 Development LLC Conversion Addition. So this is a request of Joe Flynn. Do we have agent for 805 Development? We're looking at this is a conceptual review and preliminary final approval for an as-built carport conversion into habitable space.
Yes,
So-
hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and state your name for the record. Make a presentation. David here will do his best to move the slideshow along for you.
Sure. My name's Joe Flynn. I'm the architect for the project, and sorry I'm not there in person. I have a bit of a cold today, so sorry in advance. But we'll try to make this brief and concise. Very simple proposal. It's actually a project that's located in Mission Canyon Special Design Review District. I think otherwise it wouldn't really require design review, but because it's in Mission Canyon, we are required to get the board's approval. So essentially, it's a 1956 home. You could see the hatch pattern on the right. That was originally a carport, we're assuming, and it was enclosed at some point without a permit. That at least we didn't see a permit on file. So this is essentially a retroactive permit that we're going in for. And
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you because this is a very unremarkable situation here. This actually looks to be pretty straightforward. So let me just ask: do we have any photos of the house?
Yeah.
I'm not finding.
Can I share my screen?
Hold on a second.
They're loose in the folder.
We have. Hold on. I think you're gonna be happy here. Hold on.
Okay, I have a new photo board if you need.
Yeah. Give David a chance. Can you pop up the photo images?
The three of us.
Okay, here we go. Because image front, yeah. So go to the side and the front. The front one's the one I'm trying to get us to.
There's a planner memo also.
There you go. Yeah, and let me quickly. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll give you a chance here. I just want to. I think
It's okay.
this board. So the planner memo is going to give us some direction here. Where did that go? All right. Here. Project subject to requirements of the. Okay, the project falls within the Mission Canyon Special Problems Area. Blah blah blah. Here we go. This project is for a land use permit to allow the validation of an as-built carport conversion into habitable space. The conversion resulted in 495 square foot of additional single-family dwelling, no grading, no tree removal associated with project. The parcel will be served by SD Water District, Mission Canyon, County Fire. So,
read this. Planner comments.
yeah. So the project falls within the Mission Canyon Special Problems Area. That's what I started
I
with.
didn't finish.
It had been reviewed. It has been reviewed by the Special Problems Committee, and they offered no additional comments. So, if I understand correctly, the addition is matching the existing house. Yes.
Yes, exactly. You can see it there on the right-hand side. There's just the one slider window where the roof sort of drops down. You can see the change in the eave elevation. So that's essentially it.
There's nothing else being proposed here other than to deal with this this retroactive addition, right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Any members of the public that need to chime in on this or speak about it? Okay, do we have any questions from the board? No. Okay, I don't see any reason why we can't move this forward as submitted.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so
I would like to move it forward.
all right.
I'd like to make a motion for concept, preliminary, and final approval of the as-built carport conversion as presented today.
Okay, and then before we, all right, and then any discussion, we kind of move this along. Nobody has any comments of any. All right, so all those in favor?
Sorry, second?
Yeah,
Okay.
John seconded.
Okay.
So you got your final approval, sir. Sorry.
Thank you. And thank you so much. You're really helping my cold when I have a sore throat, so I didn't want to present anyways.
Well, we appreciate you too. Thanks for not coming in here and getting us sick.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
All jokes aside, I appreciate it very much. Thank you, board members.
All right, I'm going to hand the baton to Chris here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair Bloomer. We'll continue the meeting with item number 8805 Development LLC conversion and addition. No, sorry. Let's go to item 9 instead. That's the Scheller addition.
Oh, let's do 8 again.
This is a request of Tom Jacobs, architect for John W. Scheller, for conceptual review of the conversion of the existing carport into an attached 2-car garage of approximately 650 square feet with an accessory area of approximately 232 square feet. Conversion of the existing laundry room into a den, a master suite addition of approximately 615 square feet above the new garage, and a new second floor deck of approximately 128 square feet. And this is a 0.28 acre parcel located at 828 Torno Canyon Road in the Mission Canyon area. Last heard March 4th of last month. So, okay. I see the applicant here, sir. State your name for the record.
My name is Tom Jacobs.
Great.
I'm an architect.
Hi, Tom. So whenever you're ready, you can tell David which page you want to be on and proceed with your presentation.
Well, I think it's good to just start here in the cover sheet, looking at the site plan. You can see on the left, everything is existing. The hatched items on the right are the new garage and master suite above. And the double hatch area in between is a transition room, which is basically laundry, den. What is to know about this project is that room, the laundry, is existing, and the proportions and the dimensions are all the same footprint. And the garage as well is the same footprint. It's just extruded up. and enclosed on the bottom. So we can, the site is nicely landscaped. It's all existing drought tolerant plantings. The owners are in the process of working on details for a pool in the backyard. I think that's really the only thing we need to go into. Yes, that's the variable setback is because we had just a little bit too much program to be able to fit it all into the footprint. So we've got a couple of pop outs into the setback, and then obviously there's the commensurate area that is not developed. We've included the area of the overhangs above in the data, just to be accurate about what's being popped into and out of. So that's really it. We can move forward. These are the, if you could just scroll or, yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect. The photographs are on the right. Sorry for all the vehicular obstruction, but you know, maybe we should zoom in on the photographs just to help. There we go. That's good. So what we're looking at there in the back of the cars is the transition area and the beginning of the carport on the very right edge, and then the house behind. This is the front door area that you walk up a couple of steps under this shade structure. And this is from the front side. So you see the long kind of area of the house. You can see that the openings are white trimmed. The house has a low 2 and 12 slope. It's got offset ridges and is tied nicely into the ground. And then coming around the corner, this is the backyard, main structure, main space on the left, and exterior patio on the right. So if we could zoom out a little bit. The 3Ds, which I know you guys are not necessarily looking at, but
Yes, we are.
The idea is that this is as if it's a kind of a cluster development, and the elements are all taken from the existing structure. The elements are the 2 and 12 roof, the format of the windows pushed up to the underside of the eave, very minimal trim. Siding, the siding is T&G siding, but it also has 2 variations, one vertical and one horizontal. And I think that's really the kind of essence of the partie of the original house. And we've taken those elements basically and used them in extruding to the second floor. We've got different siding on the different floors. The upper floor is a horizontal to kind of quiet it down a little bit. But you can see in the front elevation on the both the top ones that there's an element there that the original designer rotated the siding for visual effect. So we're mimicking that. There's a small little shade detail on the front to break up the vertical plane. And there's a cantilever, a minimal cantilever on the right-hand side that is just, again, breaking up the blocks. It's the trim that surrounds it is kind of mimicking some of the same trim detail of the main house. You can see from the lower 3D, we've got, I want to zoom in a little bit there. You can see really well the division of the openings so that they're pushed up to the eave. They have sloping heads, but they're basically a 30-inch module matching the original, the existing structure there. The offset ridge, and then we've got a very modest deck that also has some cantilevered structure. And the deck is a wired stainless steel. So we can, I think, with that proceed. What you see here is actually on where we're going to stay there. On the left is the master bedroom suite, and on the right is the stair hall. So you've got a nice vertical space. And utilizing these tall windows, both of those look into a huge tree in the backyard. So the height, the perceived height is going to be softened quite a bit by a tree that's about twice as big as the structure. So that's a nice element. The maximum, the height is 20'6". The max height for this this area is 25 feet, so we're well below that. The roof lines are constructed to kind of mimic and feel like they're extensions of the different parts. And we can go through the floor plan, just nothing new on the survey. Demolition plan on the right is the post and beam open carport, which we're enclosing and going out to the perimeters of. And then the transition room is the little lozenge, vertical lozenge between those two, where you enter the house or enter the garage, and those openings are basically maintained. Next one. Oh yeah, and we're also incorporating some existing storage there into the garage floor. So you can see on the lower level, the stair wraps around.
No, we don't need the interior.
Yeah, okay.
layout. Do you not have any photos of the neighbor, like the street view from this?
You cannot see the neighbors.
Yeah, but we can see it from this. I'm looking at Google Earth. I can see what's going on, but you don't have anything in the presentation that shows that?
No, I don't.
Okay. I don't know if we want to bring up Google Earth, but it's going to help. Help us understand this.
Yeah.
So
is
that possible?
Yeah, if you give me a minute.
Yeah. No, we can get there sooner or later. It's
Sure.
not, but go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to
Let's
interrupt.
just finish with the plan set first, because I think we're almost there, and then we can go to Google maybe.
Yeah, I just have a couple more. The middle left elevation is the one that is facing the neighbor. They consciously didn't put any windows. In other words, we're respecting the neighbor's privacy by not having any openings looking into their, from above, looking into their spaces. So that's the only, that's the client's intention is to allow them to maintain their privacy by not having anything that look into their property from the second level.
That it? Last page?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, let's check out the Google.
Anyway, the street view shows, while we're waiting for that to come up, that there's a pretty dense hedge row that goes down from the main thoroughfare all the way into this street, so that there's a corner lot that has a pretty decent hedge, and then this property has a decent hedge. And
Yeah,
so it's not a street with a curb or a sidewalk. It's a kind of like a unimproved.
it's like a 11-foot
Non-
easement.
Yeah, so it feels like a private drive, but I don't
It
know.
is a private
Okay,
road,
yeah, so, all right, there you go.
but it's,
It's
you
very
get
hard to
a
see from
glimpse
the
of the
street.
house driving by, and otherwise it's not.
And the thoroughfare that's that's accessed by, what is that street?
Torno Road.
Torno.
So Torno Road, if you're.
No, that's Torno Road. What's the
That's
main?
Foothill.
Yeah, Foothill
Foothill.
is the
Foothill,
perpendicular
yeah,
road,
got
but the
it.
road that drives into it is Mission Canyon.
Yeah.
So
that's
Mission
that
Canyon
stop
goes
sign.
up and it makes a T and then goes up to the garden.
Well, we're waiting for that too. I have a couple questions, if it's okay, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think we can
Do you
move
know-
into questions.
Do you know who the original architect was on this?
Peter Edwards.
Peter Edwards, okay. Thought it might have been Noel Cook, but it's definitely a mid-century modern.
It's actually Peter Edwards' first house,
When was it built?
67.
Right, okay. So it's a pretty authentic mid-century modern single story.
He built it for his sister. His sister owned
There you
it
go.
for a year.
Yeah,
And
and
then
David
she-
too, if you could, sorry to interrupt,
Sorry,
but just
go ahead.
keep us moving. If you could drag the little weird person down to the street, because that's down the bottom right, there's a little human being standing next to the planet. If you drag him down to the street, there you go. This is what I was looking at, and turn to the right. Obviously, they took this in a foggy day, but that's the street, and that's the house behind there. So that's the garage, right?
Yes,
Yeah. It's pretty obscured.
yes.
Okay, so other questions from the board?
And just to elaborate on this, there's a similar dense hedge between the neighbor and our subject property.
Anyone, no questions? All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? See no one, we didn't have any letters, I don't think, right? Oh, wait. Didn't you just have a couple letters up, or was that from the last? That was the last
That was
one.
the last
Okay, thank you. All right, so back to the board for comments. Mr. Berdiak.
Well, I think that it's a
Bring that
project that's seriously sideloaded here and makes a
Site plan,
really
David.
awkward configuration. Sorry to say. But, I know it's a low slope roof and it just,
Reading the plans.
it just seems like this thing is unrelated. I mean, the style is the same, but the massing is just overwhelming. It just makes for an awkward solution. It's really hard to support something like that.
Good.
There must be some way to try to integrate these shapes together that would present a more uniform and cohesive structure. I know you can do it because I've seen your work before.
There's
Let's not make this a discussion. It's
Yeah.
comment
Yeah.
time.
So,
Sorry, we'll give you a chance. to-
Good, John? Okay. Ms. Grubb?
Beyond just being sideloaded, I think there's some successful details on the existing entry elevation. You can go scroll up to A5. So the fascia, the thickness of the fascia on the existing house seems like it adds to the success of the offset roof. And then it also limits its area to tuck into the fascia. And I think that detail might be more successful if it's carried onto the second story. Just something like that. It might just appear more tight.
Okay. Mr. Richards?
Yeah, I was gonna remark on the windows too. Maybe, could you zoom out just a little bit on the sheet? All right, yeah, so they're on the proposed east elevation. I like the way that the windows reflect the roof line. And then on your proposed west elevation, maybe there's an opportunity to do something similar with the two windows you see on the right there. Or it just seems like that character should be reflected on either side. But apart from that, it seems like a reasonable application. Oh, another question. So garage doors, all glass, is that what you're proposing? I don't know how other people feel about it. Maybe just the bottom panels could be solid and you have glass at the top. Might be something worth considering, but I don't know. This is just a, I don't know. I think it's a reasonable application. It's just a little detail.
All right, Mr. Bloomer.
Yeah, this, I'm kind of with John. I'm having a hard time supporting a second story addition to this house, especially the way it's being done. It's not fully executed to integrate it. And it's a sweet little mid-century project. That's, I mean, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I get that, you know, you're trying to create a kind of a bridge, and then it looks like two different houses kind of sitting together. But I don't think you've really got it there yet. So I guess I'll say this: if you're going to persist with the second story addition, then I'll give you comments with that. And like these windows facing the street, right? They're not the right kind of windows for this type of project. Like this type of project, you do what you're seeing here is you have a window and then a transom. And this architect and Noel Cook and some of the other local mid-century modern architects, that's typically how they did it. So if you look at in the photos how that's being detailed, and then we go and see how you've done it here, you're not getting there. And these double hung windows don't cut it. They gotta kind of follow this notion of you get your header and then you get a transom above, and it's nice. Like in those bedrooms, you get a lot of like mountain views or light coming in. Those two windows feel totally out of place to me. And then again, these three windows here, that the idea is right, but the detailing's wrong. It needs to get lighter. And that's the tricky part about these houses, is that we can't do what they used to be able to do structurally or thermally with the systems we have. So I know that's a problem. I'm not misunderstanding that, but again, these two windows here feel a little out of place to me. And I appreciate what you're trying to do here with this added architectural feature over the garage. I know that it looks like somebody came along, or the architect added some nice little, sweet little eyebrow in the backyard to kind of deal with something, and you've kind of brought that back around the front. But I think that needs more integration with the design. It's not doing enough to break up the two-story volume that's kind of offending this house. So I think it needs to, you know, if you're trying to break it up midpoint, it needs to be addressed a little bit more than that. It's just in competition with that elevation, that little eyebrow doesn't quite do the breaking up that you're saying it does in my mind. So I would say, you know, summarizing that, like, I agree with John. It feels very side-loaded. There is a way to make this feel more separated. Like if you were to be able to draw those walls back and create a darker, deeper recess between the two, and really separate the two, maybe even darken the paint color here, and really, or make it glass so it literally disappears. And then then maybe we could study this house and that house as two separate houses. I don't know, but right now it feels a little bit stuck in the middle. It's a little attached and a little not. But and then I would say my second comment is, you know, so that try to completely separate these two buildings. Number one. Number two is work on your window detailing to match the existing as much as possible. Like these little double hung windows aren't cutting it. And then this elevation here facing the street needs a lot of work. You know, it just feels kind of a little bit, it doesn't feel like these mid-century modern houses had a really nice presentation to the street, and that's what this is. It needs to be the best composition like the old compositions here, I think this now has to be the best composition, the best street facing element. So if that means you got to do some rearrangement in the interior, you know, sure, but I think you can get there if you try work on it. Having said all that, going back to sheet A1P, like you could just zoom in to that bottom right image. This right here, there's the language that you're going for. And then over here, it's just not there. But if that showed up here, it would, like this elevation, I think is starting to come along. It feels top to bottom like there's something happened. But like I don't understand how these windows relate to what I'm seeing on the rest of the house. So that just needs some work. But having said that, I'm just questioning if on the site plan, if there's any way to make this easier for you. I think the only, like if you get hung up on this side loading issue, which is a serious issue, had a lot of controversy on this board around this, and I don't think we can turn our head on that. But is there any way that, like, at the end of the day, I'm looking at your floor plan, you're just trying to add a master suite to the house. I'm just trying to figure out how do we take your detached garage and expand it and make it into your master suite, and then find another place for a garage or a carport so that we can keep this a single story house. It'd save costs for your owner, but it would take you out of this side loading and second story problem. It's problematic for the house. I mean, it'd be easier for you to detail this thing at a single story. I know you'd be able to get there. I know it's an uphill battle trying to get a second story on this thing. I appreciate that. It's just going to be like the bar is going to get set pretty high to try and make that work. And I'm afraid, I feel like we could end up pushing this thing around too much. So if there's any way to do that, seems like there's some room. I don't know. There's some room? Is there any? This red line denotes like your building envelope, right? Is there any provision to? I guess you'd have to get a modification to push a garage into any of that space, right? So.
Well, we've got. I guess the question would be, you know, another carport would probably do the
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you wouldn't want to put a garage out front of this because then you have a garage on your master. You know, if this becomes your master bedroom, then it's like the entry to the project maybe needs to be over here and the garage over here. You know, like I know you'd want to have the master bedroom kind of further away. So it's anyway. It's just I guess it
wasn't in the same plane.
Simple distillation of what I'm saying is that if you can actually make this a single story proposition, I think, you know, given that all you're trying to do is add, well, I shouldn't say it like that. Given what you're trying to do is wedge in a nice ensuite master bedroom, you know, there's a way to do that. I think it gets, it honors and respects this nice little building that's, you know, struggling with this addition. I think I'm with John. I'm having a hard time getting behind it.
Okay.
Those are good suggestions.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add, but I concur the side load aspect here is hard to kind of swallow. And maybe that either, as Josh mentioned, that center portion, try and make it disappear or utilize that to help blend it into the existing structure.
So your second story addition, I actually live in a no-cook neighborhood in a no-cook house, and that's my house. It's a big box with 2 roofs.
They're all the same.
So I've stared at it a little bit. I know.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a difficult problem, and you guys are not saying anything I haven't chewed up on.
But there's like you go look at if you go on Lucinda Lane, Noel Cook did some houses that, can you go to the elevation real quick? Like I would study it because this volume right here, he did a bunch of split level homes, right? they're 2 stories, and they're pretty much, they have the same roof out profile and about the same width and same height and same length. They're a little bit longer, but I think you should, there's some detailing that was applied there that makes that, and it's kind of, what I'm saying is because it's taking this idea of the single story ranch and getting it to a split level. So it's, on my street, that they're generally 1, 2, 3 levels, but they're basically 2 stories. And if that, if you could get this to read like a 2-story mid-century next to a single story mid-century, I don't know, maybe we could make it, and it was exceptionally done. I think we could dispense with the side voting conversation. But I think that means you just got to work it a bit and get your detailing on the windows so that the 2 feel like either distinct or fully matched.
Now, on the rear elevation and on the bottom, it was my feeling that I was doing exactly what you were saying. So is there something about that you could tell me?
You mean this piece right here?
No, the
Yes.
2-story one.
This
Yeah,
down here?
The windows above.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because the 3D modeler isn't modeling this the same. These are done with pure wood frames and
Yes, they
plate
need,
glass.
it needs the white trim to.
Well, it needs to be detailed the same,
Right.
and it's not. I mean, this looks like this looks like contemporary. This looks like a totally different window system from a different era. This is very different.
If I can chime in, I think it's the positioning also that is so successful on the existing part that it's coming closer to the corner of the structure with the windows and doors more centered in that second.
We're working on a house like this where we're actually in the transoms. We're looking at using like a laminated single pane in wood framing and studying how we can get that through Title 24. But it's laminated and with the eave and all the Title 24 calculations being modeled, sometimes not doing, or you can actually put in a double plane, or you can put in an insulated glazing system, but it's just glass, like it's the traditional way of building the wood frame. And then, right, instead of what happens here is you get a bulky frame because you got a thermally broken window system. But I think you got to go study, like there's some very limited palette of aluminum window frames that will do the thermally broken, low profile stuff that helps you get to this mid-century look.
Well, let's move it along here because I think you understand where we're coming from, and I know you understand the challenge, but I think we have a good amount of comments. Alex, Tuttle, do you need clarification on anything? Good. So unless there's any other further discussion, I think we can have you come back for further conceptual / prelim for the next meeting whenever you're ready.
Yeah, again, I would say go to Lucinda Lane. There's like 12 homes that represent this. I think Noel Cook called it the Laurel Canyon split level cameos. It's a whole collection of them, and you might find some inspiration and some ideas there because there's been some nice remodels lately that have tried to deal with this type of architecture. Not my house yet. Don't look at mine. It's terrible.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, we have 2 more items. It's noon. Applicants are here.
Public here.
What is the pleasure of the board? You guys want to?
Far ahead.
Can I just get you want to go for it?
I think we should just try and go for it and finish up.
Do any of these have letters or anything like that?
I don't think so.
No, can you give me just a minute? We did, after the hearing started, get Alex had asked for a resubmittal. I just need to throw it in the box.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. I'll get us started and then we'll wait on you.
Yeah.
So
It's possible for us to swap because item 11, the landscape architect needs to leave in half an hour.
I don't see why not.
Gives you a little time to get that down.
Yeah.
I brought in hard copies. If you wanted to see, but
Okay, yeah, I think we can, since the same applicant, we can just move to number 11 first. Oh. Hey. You were near the lunch with us anyway, right?
That's not my schedule.
Okay, so item 11 ahead of number 10. This is the Narva Additions request of Wade Davis, right? Davis Design, architect for owner Narva Family Trust, for further conceptual review and preliminary approval of a first and second floor addition of approximately 1,096 square feet to the existing residence. A new two-car garage of approximately 484 and storage of approximately 118 square feet attached to the existing guest house with a new spa and a new sports court. 200 yards of cut, 400 yards of fill, 1 acre parcel, 500 via Hierba in Hope Ranch area. Last heard February 18th of this year. And so I'll read through the comments. And we have a planner memo with no planner comments, but SBAR comments from last time. A, house is well conceived and an improvement over existing conditions. B, provide screening for the sports court. C, further develop entry where driveway connects to front door, formalize entry and make driveway shape more attractive. D, provide schematic site sections, demonstrate how development, walls, etc. steps down the hill. E, reduce retaining wall heights wherever possible. F, consider introduction of planters to break up large patio areas. So we have the applicant here. Please state your names for the record.
Akiko Wade Davis, architect.
Great. And so whenever David's ready, we'll proceed.
I'll start off by describing one change to the scope that's actually not reflected in the project description. The existing guest house was permitted with the branch, but not with the county. So we are keeping it as an existing accessory structure to move forward with the permitting and to allow us to move forward without going through the modification process.
Okay.
The only difference that occurred with that structure is that the elimination of the bathroom and countertop area within the footprint, but the exterior style is the same. We have colors. I actually brought the physical samples so we can look at that, which I think is a better depiction of what's on the screen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my computer too, and it's much better than what's being presented there.
Yeah.
It's a nice soft palette, actually.
So if we could go through, I'll just go through the changes. And this is just a view of the existing site plan. Again, it's a very sloping lot with a limited area that's flat for development. We're proposing a second story addition if we move to the next page. The second story addition and a reconfiguration of the first floor of the main house, which is on the left. Angling that addition to line up with the proposed new garage, which is on the opposite side of the motor court, and it is attaching to that existing accessory structure, storage area. If we move forward, this is a story pool diagram which we looked at last time. And moving forward, if we could move to the elevations. One change that we made, oh, actually, we should start with the site sections. These are the site sections showing the top is the section through the proposed garage, showing the terracing and the planters that we're proposing between that structure and the lower portion of the property. The bottom section is through the second story addition of the main house and shows the patio areas and retaining walls that we have refined since last time. We can move on to the elevations. There's a slight material change. Next sheet will show the proposed elevations. The second story before was proposed in the vertical wood siding. The clients prefer to have the majority of the house be plaster. We're keeping the wood siding inside the recessed entry porch and the recessed covered porch to give a little bit of accent. And we are proposing that plaster everywhere else. Everything else in the house basically stayed the same as what we saw last time. Moving to the next sheet, which shows the elevations of the garage accessory structure. Again, the accessory structure is now plaster instead of wood. The storage area with the deck above is still wood paneling. We relocated the spa, which we move forward, showing some of just our details. a metal roof, house roof, wood siding. We can move on. We have exterior lighting. We're showing on the bottom right corner there. Iron and frosted glass, simple rectangular fixtures for the entry and for the garage. And then simple downlights, small in scale for accent lighting around outside the doors of the back of the house. And in certain conditions, having the recessed step light, for example, on the second floor roof deck, and the pathway lighting. This is again showing the same lighting locations for the accessory structure. That will talk through the landscape.
So I think she mentioned the spa, the new locations, it's now on the same level as the upper terrace, upper terrace. Sort of dining, kitchen area, and below that, walk between the spa and sort of stone wall there that creates the wall for banquet as well. There's going to be a fire pit down there, and from there it connects sort of to the other side and the covered garage. The accessory structure over there. And then you see there's some sort of meandering stairs down to the support piece. We're not showing a lot of detail in the landscape yet. Mainly just where the trees are going to go and some of the palms that are going to. The plant selection that we're sort of going for is shown below. It's typical, I shouldn't say typical, but it's sort of the Santa Barbara Mediterranean look. Using the water use plants. We're not showing the screening, but we do intend to screen the sports court. There's some existing vegetation at the bottom of the property that pretty much screens it. Closer to it, just really address that. That's mainly it. You scroll up a little bit. We are adjusting the edge of the driveway a little bit, sort of to give that single room and having the lighting below that wall. It's going to be needed to do that. Also, the other end of the drive, very top there, it's a little hard to get out right now, so we're sort of changing that so you turn left here out of the drive. That's mainly it. We're also rather than have a bunch of paving below the accessory unit, we're adding a small right there. Can be between. And that's mainly it for now. We did add sort of an entrance to the main entrance off of the driveway that we were showing before. Sort of a little small sculptural tree there to sort of paint it. I think that's mainly.
Can you speak to the comment E, which is reduce retaining wall heights wherever possible? Was there movement on that?
I can speak to that. There's the area to the left or the southwest of the fire pit area. The last rendition that we had, that corner was actually a raised planter and a continuation with the patio area. What we've done there is we've reconfigured the barbecue area and eliminated a good, 8-foot by 12-foot section of patio that's extending out and creating a very tall corner there. We've also reduced the depth of that paved area where the fire pit is now currently, so that's helping to work with the existing grades.
Okay. And the sport court wall heights? Do you recall what those are?
What do you call them now? We got fire elevation.
Maybe zoom in on the sport court.
It's 194 at the bottom and 201.5 feet.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I have the colors here. I don't know if you guys
Yeah, we could pass them around. In the Beyond that, we can bring it back to the board for questions.
Don't, you don't want to do that.
So questions from the board, anyone?
I have one.
Mr. Bloomer?
Just looking at this plan, can you guys describe why we have so much, no, I shouldn't say it that way. I'm just wondering, is this paving here necessary, and is there, do you guys see any opportunity to reduce the amount of paving and turn it, I guess that's the front door, right?
That's the front door.
So
it
you have
actually
these kind of
serves-
loose pavers here. Is it possible that you just get shaved down and use the loose paving and kind of bring more landscaping into that area?
I think there's a potential for that, but it's also a very tight lot. And in terms of maneuvering, that's fairly close to the existing pavement that's there. And it's not the easiest. We are adding a planter area in front of the addition to the house on the south side.
So help me understand. So you drive in, and then what's this here?
That's, I guess, parking area. So
So
that'll
you
be
drive in
around-
and you park here, and then if you wanted to back out, you either back out that way, and then you have parking here.
Right,
That's the garage.
that's correct.
You got a parking spot here, and then this what parks 3 people?
3 cars.
Cars, sorry. And so what is this this triangle area here needed for?
I think in terms of, you can actually have an extra parking spot there currently, and that's where the owners park a lot right now. It's right adjacent to the front door.
But this is going to be new for them, right?
That will be new. That's
Okay,
correct.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Nope. Anyone from the public would like to speak on this? See no one. Back to the board for comments. Mr. Peugeot.
Oh, yeah, it's an acceptable project. I tend to agree with the comment about the paving and the landscape, where the question was going to, there's a lot of paving in there. And it could benefit from a little bit more landscape, and specifically on that triangle by the front doors.
Okay, Mr. Verdiak.
Oh, I agree. It's a very good project. It's well done. We brought up that, I think, last time about the excessive paving. I still think that could be, eliminated and a nice walk put in there to the front door. Overall, I support the project.
Okay, so basically, I think we can just carry comment C forward from the last one, which stated further develop entry where driveway connects to front door, formalize entry and make driveway shape more attractive.
Me, can I ask a question on the board?
Sure.
Does the board feel comfortable granting preliminary approval with the comments we're talking about with this, without a planting and with species and quantities?
Well, yeah, that's not really needed until final anyway.
Okay.
Put the species
Well, they
quantities
have
on that.
My comments, and I would say just.
So let's hold on. We're not there yet. I think Alex is done
Yeah.
with his comments. Robert.
I'm sorry.
Like just an idea that maybe where they're identifying where there's excessive paving there at the front, maybe you could just use a different paving material to kind of indicate it's the entry to the home, and that could connect up to where your new parking area is, and maybe it's a similar material as to what you're using in the back of the home. So that might still allow you to park on it, but kind of just bring some hierarchy to your paving materials in the driveway. Apart from that, I think it's a great project.
I think it's the point that's weird. Curve comes down.
Six spaces should be enough.
Yeah.
6 spaces for parking should be enough.
There's lots of parts on it.
So
Anyway, Mr. Bloomer.
So my comment is like this is not a good place to park, right? So, and I understand the owners currently organized that way, but it sounds like you've provided more than adequate parking elsewhere. So my comment is that, like, you've done some pretty sophisticated landscape, hardscape things on the house that bring it to a whole different realm. So it's a beautiful house, well sited. The whole scheme of how you've expanded the development is really well done. And I think this area here is begging for a nicer landscape solution that's designed by a landscape architect and integrated with the hardscape and really announces the house. I think it's a beautiful opportunity for the house. So really reinforce that. And the only other comment I have is try and find opportunities to use like semi-permeable paving, or maybe even break this up. Still use it as parking, but break it up and, soften it up, kind of like what's happening here, or, in other landscape architectural, correct kind of paving / planting / permeable softening of that would be, I think, appreciated.
That's a gravel parking area, right? Okay.
Yeah, so like, and it's not softened at the edges, and that's fine too. Like, but sometimes we see people, there'd be an apron there, some kind of border, but that's gravel. That handles the permeable part.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I concur. I think this is a nicer solution. The patios are much more, in scale. I think they were maybe too large before, but my only comment would be the same. That one awkward. I think it's an opportunity to create a better entry experience to the front door. Right now, it's almost like you're on the driveway and you walk in the front door. So even if you just sort of clipped off that corner, and as Robert said, maybe there's a solution where you can still use it for parking, but the materiality needs to maybe change. So we'll see what you come up with. But you are here for further concept and prelim, and it sounds like someone want to make a motion for.
Make a motion, a comment about the change of the parking around the front door.
Okay, do you have that, Alex? Yeah.
Second.
All right, second by John. All those in favor?
Wait,
Or actually
the
under
reason
discussion?
It needs to come to the full board because we really haven't seen a lot of the landscape.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they do
I was
have
gonna say.
nice detailing for the architecture, by the way. We didn't linger on it, but I was looking at that. Looks to be very well done.
Yeah.
It's
So
almost consent, but I mean, for consent, but not quite.
yeah, I think giving preliminary now is good, and then return to the full board for final. And we had a maker of the motion in a second, and all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Very good, thank you. So we'll move back to number 10, which is the Lamb Residential Additions request of Wade Davis Design, agent for John and Maren Lamb, for conceptual review of an as-built conversion of a 396 square foot attached basement, formerly converted to habitable space, and as-built conversion of a 465 square foot attached garage, formerly converted to a recreation room, and additions totaling 170 square feet to the single family dwelling, including a master bedroom addition and entry addition. So this is located at 5266 Louisiana Place in the Goleta area. So name again? No, hey, you're not.
Jim Davis, architect for the project.
Hey.
So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this area. It's out next to Warren Mesa. You actually exit Patterson and past the hospital, going out past where the palm trees are. And the street below this actually is laid back up to the village.
Sorry, real quick. Last heard in November of 2019. So it's.
I think it was actually pulled
from that
I
date.
don't think we've ever actually.
Okay.
Heard.
So it's
I think that was
new
the debate that we
project.
had. Yeah, we had the debate with the planner on there because we were shaking our head too. We couldn't recall if it was.
Okay.
The reason that it was pulled is that we had proposed an ADU on the lot that's moved, and it was a challenge to have it approved by the HOA at that time. So we used the scope now, and what you're seeing here on the existing site plan, the shaded area, the top area is the shaded area. On the existing lower floor, that was crawl space area that was excavated and turned into habitable area that we're requesting as-built approval for. It's actually partially subterranean in that area back there. And then the hatched area, the crosshatch area below that is the original carport, which is also being as-built requested for as-built approval for closing that with some doors and some windows. So we can move on to the next sheet now. These photos here, these are the existing site photos. I know I pulled this together
So you guys, this is new for you guys. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but this
Let me
was,
stay zoomed in, sorry, so we can see the photos.
this was in request to some of the board members asking for additional photos. So the first photo, number 1, is just a street shot looking at the existing apron there. Then stepping in to the number photo 2 is just inside those entry gates, or inside the gates, I should say, inside the fence there. And as you keep progressing, it's just sequential as you walk around the house. The next shot is of the southeast corner. And the note that I have called out there is the as-built approval of the enclosure area. And I think that window actually was already there, but that's part of the habitable area that got enclosed. Next to that is the window for the existing laundry, so that was not the area we had at this time. As we keep moving around the house, you just keep seeing, if you scroll back up a little bit, you see the east elevation, which is the entry elevation. And as you move to the next photo, that's photo 5. That's the existing entry. So it's actually that split level where you enter the house. That's what we're proposing.
Where we're looking?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's where we're proposing an entry addition extending out from there. And so we'll see that on the floor plans when we move into that. Going back to that photo number 3, though, where you see the deck, the wood deck on the second floor, right there, that's where the master bedroom addition is happening. It's actually a very small area of what we're proposing for new construction. The majority of the numbers you see are the as-built approvals that we're requesting. So then as you keep moving around the house, going to the left or view number 6, that's just a view of the entryway. And what I'm trying to give you an idea there is the windows on the lower floor with the subterranean area, those are the as-built conversion areas. That was the crawl space area that was excavated and the next photo, we jump on the other side of the back of the pool enclosure fencing right there. And I move around the far side of the house there. That's just giving you kind of a flavor of what the existing style of the home is. Keep going down. That's the side of the pool side of the house. No proposed work is being requested here. And then as you come around to the opposite, the garage side, the original carport side, that's again a larger view of the enclosed area of the carport. Move to the next sheet. This is just the proposed site plan. We can come back to this if you guys have questions on it, but I think maybe more important, we can jump to the elevations. So on that south elevation, it's the second floor, or actually in the far right-hand side of that, that's the split level entry addition that we're proposing. And then as you move a little bit to the left, that's the enclosed master bedroom addition. And then as you move to the elevation below that, we're proposing the clad entry addition right there. And next elevation, that's the north elevation. You see again, the main thing that you're looking at on this elevation is that entry addition again on the left-hand side now. And no change on that last elevation. So I'll conclude there, and if you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. What is the garage conversion? Is it the one hatch right there? Is that-
Crosshatch area.
Yeah, is it
On
this
the
one?
lower- Yes.
Okay, and is there any landscape? What is there? A patio?
That's
What do you want?
It was a carport, so it was all hardscape out there.
And what is it? What are you proposing to do?
They're keeping it at hardscape currently right now.
Really? Okay.
So the part of it is a backup area.
Can you show us
for-
on the site plan, please?
We can jump to the site plan here.
So it's right there, right?
Correct. Some of that can be taken out. You're
Yeah, because
correct.
you go like this, right?
Correct.
Maybe somebody connect. What is this?
That's the concrete washout
Well,
area.
it would be like extra parking, I guess. Could be extra parking,
It could
right?
be extra parking, correct.
So
for
this
guest parking.
thing, question, comment, really, I mean, okay.
If all that's necessary.
Okay.
Okay,
That's it.
other questions? Nobody?
What are we agenda for?
Concept.
Yeah, conceptual.
Okay.
All right. So no questions. No one from the public is here. So we'll bring it back for comments, starting with Ms. Grubb.
Wow.
I think the proposed changes are relatively minor in nature. and acceptable.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Richards? How do you feel?
I agree. I mean, it's already been completed. I agree with Alex that the situation with the driveway going right up to the doors is a bit awkward, but I don't know that it warrants enough concern for me to make them change the driveway. So.
Can we see the photo of that? Oh, as we move on to Mr. Bloomer.
The lower photo
Oh, I
on
can
the left is the
You're gonna get the last word today. I think it looks fine. I would just say, when you come back for preliminary, I'd like to say come back for preliminary and final, so. I don't know if that has, I'll let these guys decide whether it's consent or full board to do that, but I'd appreciate it if you do your elevations differently, you do like existing and proposed, because it's, even if it's minor, it's just so much easier for us to determine what's there now and what's being added. Just one on top of the other, that would be really helpful, and it's a good precedent that we're trying to establish with our applicants. So please do that on your return. I appreciate what you've done on the plans to hatch it so we can understand it from a floor plan. Just existing and proposed elevations would be better. Everything else seems in good order. I'm in agreement with these guys that you should add some landscaping around the house to soften that transition from the old garage to the new habitable space.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pujo.
Is that, wait. Is this the area we're talking about? Or
That's
not?
the area you're talking
So you
about.
do have a little bit of landscape.
There is a tiny bit of landscape there.
Okay, well, that
So the-
changes things a little bit.
So the garage is gone already.
Garage is already gone. This is the as-built
A little slow.
approval.
Okay, yeah,
sorry.
this looks better than what the site plan showed.
I guess you,
Right,
he's fast. He already fixed it.
I mean, this is different. This is, it looks like a 2-foot planter or 3 or something like that. Maybe it's a matter of putting something in there. You know, putting something. I don't know. Just-
Well, I'm going to
yeah,
rescind
yeah.
my comment
Yeah.
because that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm a little slow to understand what you're doing, but that's fine. I don't want to make any further comment on the landscape. Just
Yeah. I think you should document it better. And that's my comment. You document that. And it looked like it could use something a little bit nicer than whatever that thing is. That doesn't look like anything. I'm not sure what that is.
I think it's a beach chair.
That is.
Another one right there.
There's a pile of wood right next to it.
You need a beach chair, a storage area. No, you don't. That's not a real comment.
Mr. Verdiak.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, nor do I. So I think,
Consent. Final consent.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Return prelim final on consent. When you're ready with, I guess the only comment being document existing planters outside, converted garage.
Wow. With that, we're ready to go.
I'm shocked.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there any discussion?
Somebody want to second it?
Oh, just, we want to officially thank David and Alex for getting us back into this room. Thank
Well, David.
Very nice.
Nice work, sir.
Right. Yeah, and very nice screen. I like it. Really nice and big. And you're good at driving. You can take us where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what.
I suppose we'll get some feedback, but is there any problems today that we could do anything better?
I
make
think
this work better?
the one thing was just, we're gonna need some microphones. I don't think anybody out there can hear us.
You can't hear it at all. At all.
Yeah, I don't even know if Alex can hear us.
Barely. We were watching it from prior to, and it was hard to hear anybody speaking.
From there too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody presenting it was hard. Right.
So thank you for the feedback.
Okay.
Could you hear them? Absolutely could hear them. You guys have microphones. How about that? So that works. great.
And there's another one on the podium over there, but
Put another one on the
Could you
desk.
hear us
maybe.
when you
Well,
were
it's
out?
because we're
in the
facing the
chambers?
right direction. People up here are
Not as
facing the
much,
wrong
actually.
direction.
Okay.
When I got closer.
When they sit at the table, their noise gets captured by all this, but we're.
well, can we just move that one to that table?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can put a microphone on that table.
Yeah.
And then they can have the option.
But I
was
do think
watching
that
in the back and I could barely hear the board.
I think we should make them stand at the podium and deliver like Trudy Carey did today. She did a great job.
That's one way to address it. At least move
It was
that.
Or
like
just
that.
move the microphone.
I found it,
Either way.
you know, it was really crisp and clear hearing her.
Just pick it up. and move it.
I don't hear so well, but I thought it was better at the podium, we could hear better.
And if we're not reviewing physical plans. there's no reason to do
I think people when they're standing up tend to move faster too.
that.
I knew that was good.